Stand up, New York Giants fans. Meant to go live yesterday, as I do after every Giants game, but had plans after the game. So I ended up going to the movies. Ended up going to see Killers of the Flower Moon. If you guys haven't seen that, it was about 3 hours and 30 minutes. I'm a huge fan of Martin Scorsese, so it certainly was worth that. But obviously, during the whole time while I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking about the New York Giants finally got a win. We got a reason to be happy. We got a reason to cherish the moment. Unless you're a fan out there that's rooting for this team to go out there and lose every week, and I understand where you're at right now with the, where this team currently is at 1-5 going into the game, and you're looking at the draft board, you're looking at potential quarterbacks. But for me, I can't do that, especially early in the season. So it felt nice for the New York Giants to get a win. Was everything beautiful? No. Was everything gorgeous? No. The special teams continue to be a problem with punt returns. We fumbled another punt return. Offensively, there were definitely some good things that came out of this week's game. There's still a lot to work on, but definitely some positive momentum, I think, offensively. We'll talk about throughout the stream. Defensively, this team continues to get better every week. 3 straight games now where the New York Giants have created a turnover. They didn't create a turnover in any of their first, I think, 4 games. Constant pressure throughout the game. Granted, look at the opponent you're going up against. The only team that surrendered more sacks than the Giants was Washington, but this has been a trend. Even in the 49er game, I said it right after that game, the defense started to show glimmers of hope, even though they didn't tackle well in that game. They were getting pressure. They were creating turnover opportunities. And the last 3 weeks, you've seen them be able to come up with turnovers. So this defense is certainly coming to life. Dexter Lawrence got his first 2 sacks of the year. Probably should have been credited with 3. Leonard Williams, of course, had the blocked extra point or field goal. He had a sack. Kayvon Thibodeau was heavily involved, almost had a pick 6. I think he had a sack and a half. So the defensive line had a great game. Of course, Deonte Banks coming up with his first interception. So this defense played tremendous. I mean, they played out of this world. Of course, we'll talk about Tyrod Taylor. I'm sure that's a hot topic going around in the New York Giants world right now with the quarterback and everything else. But just want to say hello to everybody. What's going on, Papa Gooch? What's going on, King Trizzy? Matthew in the chat. Dre Mack in the chat. Raphael Duna in the chat. Max in the chat. Young Hendricks in the chat. And Alan says, who cares who's the quarterback be? We just got to win. I'm with you. Listen, at the end of this, I don't have an ego. At the end of the day, I wanted the New York Giants to bring back Daniel Jones. I still think it was the right decision. I think it was really the only decision based on where they were picking in the draft, based off the year that they had the year before. But hey, listen, at the end of the day, I just want my team to win football games. So we'll see what happens with the quarterback the rest of the way. I'm happy with the way that Tyrod is playing. And I think at a bare minimum, Tyrod allows the New York Giants not to have to rush Daniel Jones back. We all know that when Daniel Jones is 100%, he's going to be back in the starting lineup. I think that's fairly obvious. All signs have pointed to it. Brian Dable has said it. He's making $40 million a year. The writing's on the wall. We all know that Daniel Jones is going to be inserted back into the starting lineup when he's 100% healthy. But the way that Tyrod's playing, I think he's playing at the level that you were hoping that he would if a situation like this were to arise when we brought Tyrod Taylor in. He's playing like a high-end backup. He is. He's playing like a good starter the last couple of weeks. He averaged 10 yards an attempt in that game, 9.6 yards. And he's, he's doing really well with what's provided to him. I know the offensive line has played better, I guess, with him at the quarterback, but he's still making a lot out of a really crummy situation. So kudos to him. He played well in that game. Of course, the touchdown pass to Darren Waller was tremendous. The one thing that stands out to me with Tyrod Taylor, and I get the frustrations with the fan base when it comes to Daniel Jones, is he's willing to take shots. We want to see Daniel Jones do that. And Tyrod Taylor's going out there and playing like he really has nothing to lose. He's going out there and saying, I'm going to sling the rock. I'm going to go out there and sling the rock, and I'm going to take some shots. And we've seen big plays be created because of it. Jalen Hyatt had 5 targets in this past game. He had 4 targets the game before that. I think he only had 2 targets in his first whatever amount of games in his career with Daniel Jones at the quarterback. So you've seen them take more shots down the field. You've seen more explosive plays. Darren Waller had almost 100 yards yesterday. I think he had 7 or 8 catches. So you've seen this offense start to open up. And if nothing else, I hope when Daniel Jones is inserted back into the starting lineup, this makes him be like, okay, I have to start doing this. I have to start taking more shots down the field. I have to have the opposing defense, honor me as a passer, honor our deep game to open up the run game. Of course, Saquon Barkley being back certainly helps the offense and everything else, but Tyrod Taylor's played tremendous. He has, especially for a backup. He's played great. And Lumbegas says, I get nervous every time we receive a punt. Well, you should. Our punt returners have been awful. Our punt returners have been god awful this whole year. Jamison Crowder, we played him yesterday. I thought he was going to make the team due in large part to that. in training camp. I thought he was going to be probably the 7th wide receiver selected when I initially saw the training camp rosters because of that special teams prowess. And now I think we're starting to see how important it is to have a guy that's sure-handed back there fielding punts. So, yeah, and I think the Giants picked up a special teamer, but I think he was thrown on the practice squad today. But, yeah, that remains a major problem. We went through 3 punt returners yesterday. Eric Gray, of course, fumbled. Then Sterling Shepard. I mean, my God, come on. And then we had Darius Slayton back there fielding punts. So that's something they certainly need to work on. You can't have the punt returners costing you football games. And yesterday, we almost did. That game should have been wrapped up. That game was pretty much over before that fumble by, I think it was Eric Gray at the time. So maybe it was Sterling Shepard rather. And then that allowed them to score that touchdown. So the defense yesterday was lights out. They were fantastic, but the special teams got to get a lot better. Let's see. Name one top 10 receiver Daniel Jones is at his disposal. I mean, Tyrod Taylor has the same receivers, if we're being fair, but he has not. He has not had a top 20 wide receiver at his disposal. That's been part of the problem, part of many problems with this offense since Daniel Jones has been here. Let's see. I knew for some reason Shepard and Barkley would fumble. How could you know that about Saquon Barkley? Sterling Shepard, I get it. Because he's playing a position that he's never really played, at least in a long time, in terms of fielding punts. So I get that. He's kind of unfamiliar territory. You saw him over the first 2 punts, I think, that he was set to receive. You saw him kind of run away from the ball. He looked uncomfortable. But how can you say about Saquon Barkley? Saquon Barkley, the most amazing stat for Saquon Barkley for me is the fact that he never fumbles, ever. I think up into that game, he's only fumbled maybe 1 or 2 carries in his entire career. You think about how astounding that is. Tiki Barber had 3 fumbles in 1 game. So I don't know how you could say you knew Saquon Barkley was going to fumble. The guy never fumbles. So that was definitely a rare case of him letting up the ball, of course, in a very crucial moment. That also nearly cost us the game as well. And what's going on at H5000, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Big Joe Chestnut says the line went from all-time bad with DJ to just regular bad with Tyrod. So, yeah, of course, he looked a little better. I mean, listen, I'm going to give props where it's due. Tyrod's playing well. I'm not going to have an agenda. Tyrod's playing well. I'm glad he's playing well. He's overcoming a bad offensive line. He's gone in there as the backup quarterback, and he's helped us stay in football games. And yesterday, he helped us win a football game. Was he the main reason we won? No, the main reason we won was the defense. Gave up 7 points. So that was definitely the main reason we won. We kept Brian Robinson in check start to finish, but Tyrod Taylor played well. I'm happy he's playing well. He played very well. What's up, Jacob, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Let's see. Wan'Dale seemed like he wasn't in the game plan yesterday. He had that one big play, but outside of that, yeah, he wasn't utilized too much. They kind of change week to week in terms of who, it seems at least, who's getting the targets, who they're going to feature. The one thing you see about the offensive game plan that I like, they continue to get back to what worked last year. If you look at the play differential in terms of run to pass yesterday, the Giants were nearly 50-50. I think it was 29 passes, 32 rushes. That's where they want to be. They want to be right around that 50% mark, especially with this offensive line the way that it is, their lack of weaponry, having the backup quarterback in there. So I like that, but Tyrod really cashed in when they did throw. He only had 29 attempts, but he threw for almost 300 yards because he hit like 5 or 6 20-yard plus plays. So they were really efficient when they did throw the football. Let's see. Do you still think there's hope for the Giants this year? Peter Lee. Good question, my man. Get back to me at the end of week 9. Right now, I'm still going to say no. I mean, I'll never give up hope, of course. But right now, in terms of like any hope for playoffs, I'm still going to say no. But if you go out there and you beat the Jets, and then you go out there and you beat the Raiders, now you're 4-5. Then you got Dallas. Okay, 4-6. We're not beating Dallas probably. But then you look at the remainder of your schedule, you can convince yourself at that point, okay, the defense is playing really well. If they continue to play well, and we're not going to win these games if they don't. If you're 4-6, you say to yourself, okay, we could beat New England. We could beat Green Bay probably. We have a chance. And I think we have another team in that stretch. So I could conceivably see this team getting to 8 wins, maybe, possibly if you could get to 4-6. And if you could get to 8 wins, maybe 9 if you stretch it, you got a shot. Especially in this week NFC. Look around, look at the standings in this conference right now. But you got to get to 4 and 5 first. They got to win the next 2 games, in my opinion. They can't drop these next 2. Of course, the Jets game is going to be hard. The Jets are favored by 3 going in. They're kind of built similar to us right now, where they're a team that's relying a lot on their defense. They have a little bit more explosion offensively, and they're definitely a better defense than we are. They're one of the best defenses in the league. But the way the Giants defense looked the last couple of weeks, I see no reason why we can't create trouble for Zach Wilson. If we can create some turnovers and Tyrod or Jones or whoever's going to be playing quarterback can hold on to the football, we stand a chance to win. I don't view the Jets as this incredible football team. And it's the same thing with the Raiders. So take it one game at a time. We'll see how we do over the next 2 weeks. Let's see. Bill, what's going on, Bill, man? Good to see you, man. Tyrod is better suited for this crappy O-line. He's more elusive in the pocket and can extend plays, allows wide receivers to get open. DJ either dumps it, shorts. Hey, listen, man. I can't really argue that right now. DJ, to me, I think is shell-shocked. I think he's gotten to a point where he has a mental clock in his head, and he's just getting the ball out the first opportunity that he sees. Hopefully, this is a silver lining with this injury, and he has time to sit back, and when he comes back in, he changes the way that he plays. That's what I'm hoping as a fan. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what I'm hoping. This is kind of what we envisioned before the year started and what this offense could potentially look like. I understand there were injuries with Thomas and Barkley and everything else. But when he comes back in there, he's going to have to take some shots. And there's definitely going to be a ton of pressure when he's reinserted into the starting lineup, seeing the way that the offense has looked the last 2 weeks. Regardless of whatever you want to say, you got to give props where it's due. Tyrod Taylor's played well. Let's see. What's up, Talking Moo Man? Thanks for popping in. Wilson will be crying for his when our defense get. Oh, you're talking about Zach Wilson? We'll see. How does Gano miss he didn't miss a point. Well, it was basically, I think it was like a 42-yard attempt. It was windy, Flip, if you're being fair. It was windy. You saw the debris floating around throughout the game. It was definitely windy out there yesterday. So I think that had something to do with it. And Ordinary Pizza, stand up. What's going on? Landon, man, thanks for popping in the stream. Hopefully all you guys are having a good day. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate all you guys. Hopefully you're enjoying your Monday. What's up, Diet Ghost? Danny Dudd says, getting the ball out first opportunity he sees, okay, but then why does he hold on to just a minute? He can't. Well, no, I'm saying when he does throw, Danny, like for instance, that pick six that he threw, he didn't let the play develop because he's got a mental clock in his head. And yeah, he doesn't process as fast as a lot of other quarterbacks do. That's always been a weakness of Daniel Jones. I'm not going to deny that. Let's see. What's up, Ordinary Pete, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Peter, what's going on, man? He says, I think if we beat the Jets, it's going to be a 6-0 victory. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be much like this week. I see it being a game, either whoever wins that game, Pete, I see it being a game in the, I would say, upper 20s, lower 30s. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be like a 17-14, that type of game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way because I think the Giants will come out with a similar game plan where they try to limit turnovers. They rely on the defense. I don't view the Jets as this high-powered offense. Even in the game where they beat the Eagles, the reason why they scored a lot of points was their defense. So we got to be able to take care of the football. Of course, they're a really good defense, but I think it'll be a grinded-out football game, a lot of field possession involved. One of those, lower-scoring games, typical New York Giants football, at least in recent history, when we haven't had an explosive offense. So I don't expect a whole lot of points in that game on either side. What's up, Crisco? He says, this win makes the Bills' loss hurt more, in my opinion. I was ready to give up and root for a tank, but now it's like if we get the Bills win, we're 3-4 and very much alive. And it's week by week for me. I'm never going to tell any fans how to root, but I'm never going to root for a tank. But I understand where you're at. You're 1-5. You think the season's over. It's week for week for me. Of course, the Bills' loss hurts. You're going to look back at that at the end of the year and say, oh, my God, if only we could have won that if you miss it by one game. But all you could do is hope that the team wins every week and gives themselves a chance to play meaningful football down the stretch. Giants Enjoyer, what's going on? He says, I like seeing Saquon being used in the slot more. It reminds me of his college football. Yeah, they started to use him a bit more in the past game. Of course, he caught the big touchdown. I think he had almost 50 yards through the air. So I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see Saquon use more through the air. By the way, as some people are starting to trickle in, I want to say, I said it on my show with Bad Dog, but I want to say thank you to all you guys for all the support you guys always show on the channel. Had a sponsor reach out to me a couple of weeks ago. Things like that wouldn't happen without you guys. So thank you guys for all the support you guys always show. New sponsor on the channel, Underdog Fantasy. Go over there, and I will show you guys a layout during the live show I do next week during the game. But go over there. They got a great platform. If you put in this promo code, ETS, that's the website right there. They match the first 100 for the first 100 that you put in. It's basically like the sponsor I had last year where it's like props, like over under. 39.5 receiving yards for Sterling Shepard, whatever it may be. Just always bet the under for the Giants, and you'll always win. That's the way that it works, at least offensively. What's up, Jeff Lopez, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. And get the likes up. I appreciate it, David. Let's see. Hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate it, man. Hal literally threw the ball in Tibbs' hands. Easy pick six. How does he drop it? I don't know. I don't know if it was as easy as it looked. I know on TV when you see it, and I'm not saying he shouldn't have caught it. He should have caught it. But I don't think if it was as easy as it appeared. When you look at that ball, it came out really wobbly. As an edge rusher, you're not accustomed to catching a football to begin with. He should have caught it. Should have been a touchdown. But I don't think it was as easy as it appeared, especially for a defensive end. What's up, Diet Ghost, man? Thanks for popping in, man. By the way, can we stop? Can we stop with the Kayvon hate? Can we stop with the Kayvon hate? And I'm not on Twitter as much at all, really. But there was like this agenda against Kayvon Thibodeau at the beginning of the year. And he deserved some of the heat. Wasn't playing very well at the beginning of the year. Wasn't really involved. Kayvon Thibodeau has been involved massively the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm not saying he's Micah Parsons, but Kayvon Thibodeau has been a big part of this defense the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's definitely been a factor, and Dexter Lawrence just continues to eat. He's been tremendous all year. Mike McFadden, another guy that has to be pointed out. Bobby Okereke, another guy that has to be pointed out. Bobby Okereke has been really good for this team the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's shown a lot more confidence. He's got a great nose for the ball. I am not used to seeing that out of the middle linebacker position, so he's been really encouraging as well. Let's see. Kayvon's been great. And Jai says, I'm not going to lie, his body language kind of sucks sometimes, but he produced. You talking about Kayvon? Yeah, I mean, he's been producing the last 3 or 4 weeks. I can't complain. The last 3 or 4 weeks. Let's see. Deonte Banks looks like a steal, Albin. Deonte Banks looks like a freaking steal at the cornerback spot. We'll see how it plays out, but I never like to get too high on rookies. But listen, it looks like Joe Shane hit on that pick. He's gone up against some of the best wide receivers in the league, and they haven't been torching him. You know, he went up against McLaurin this past week. You think about Terry McLaurin in years past against the Giants. He always destroyed us. Didn't destroy us yesterday. Deonte Banks has been really good for this team, especially for a rookie. He's a guy that I thought would struggle mightily, like most rookie corners. He's been the opposite of that. He's been great. Chris says, Chris, after the year, are you thinking of replacing our OC? Feels like Dable's much better. I'll worry about that at the end of the year. I don't know what they're going to do with that. Who knows? I mean, I think it's inevitable that at some point, whether it's next year, the year after that, eventually Brian Dable's going to be the play caller. It's the biggest reason why I want an offensive coordinator or an offensive-minded head coach to become the head coach for the New York Giants to begin with, because I know inevitably the offensive coordinator is going to move on. So I think eventually Dable will be the primary play caller. We'll see, but I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after that. But make no mistake about it, Brian Dable is heavily involved in this offense, the offensive game plan and everything else. He heavily influences the offense. Make no mistake about it. And Alvaro says, Chris, I think Tyrod Taylor earned his right to be the starting quarterback. I know I could see it in the stream yesterday. You're a big fan of Tyrod. He's played well. He's played really well. I don't think he's going to be the starter once Jones is completely healthy and 100%. Regardless, I'm thrilled at the way that he's played. He's given the New York Giants. I mean, that's what you want from your backup, right? He came in and he's given this team an opportunity to win football games. That's it. You know, he's gone above and beyond, in my opinion. I didn't think that he'd be able to do what he did yesterday with the banged up offensive line and everything else. He threw for almost 300 yards. So kudos to Taylor, man. I think he's played really well. I don't think he's going to be the starting quarterback. I don't. I think when Jones is back, he's going to get the reins. But what I will say is when Jones is inserted back into the starting lineup, there's going to be a lot more pressure because now you've seen evidence Taylor could come in and move the football. If Daniel Jones is losing us football games, there could be a hook. So when he comes back, he better be ready to go. And I hope he is. Let's see. And Kuda, he says, I don't know if people feel this way, but I don't really care if DJ comes back and plays like a top 10 quarterback behind a line that blocks, kind of just want a fresh start. I honestly don't. I can't give you the answer to that, Kuda, until the end of the year. Last year, it was obvious to me Daniel Jones had to come back. I don't need to continue to express why I thought it. To me, it's obvious. I don't even think it's – I honestly don't even think – like, I always try to listen to other people's opinions. I honestly don't think there was even a good opinion against not bringing Daniel Jones back, given the situation the New York Giants were in. This year, I got to wait for the whole season to play out to see where the Giants are picking and everything else before I could tell you what I think they should do. I've given my opinion. If they have a top 3 or 4 pick, we're going quarterback more than likely. But let's see where we're picking at the end of the year. Let's see where this team stands. Let's see how the rest of the year plays out. That's where I'm at right now with Jones and the quarterback situation and everything else. He's going to be a Giant next year. The question is, is he going to put the team in a position to potentially draft the quarterback? Got to see how the rest of the year plays out before, I could really speculate on what I think we're going to do with the quarterback spot. And Kelvin says, let's hope Deonte Banks don't rob a grocery store. Yeah, please. Please stay out of trouble. People forget Saquon caught 91 passes for 720 yards with Eli with a better quarterback. Saquon is the next best thing after McCaffrey. Giants failed Saquon. Giants failed Saquon. You're not going to get an argument for me there. They definitely failed Saquon. And they failed Jones too. But just as much as they failed Jones, they failed Saquon. Saquon had the 3 or 4 different offensive play callers. Saquon had the horrible offensive line too. They failed both of them. And you're right. He did have 91 catches, I think it was, which was, I think, it tied among the highest catches ever by a New York Giant in a single season. Steve Smith still holds that record, but it was among the highest. He was incredible his rookie year, both as a pass catcher and as a runner. A lot of those came on screen passes and checkdowns because Eli checked it down a lot. But yeah, he was great for the Giants as a pass catcher his rookie year. I want to see them use Saquon more like McCaffrey, like an Alvin Kamara, where he actually goes out and runs routes. I'd like to see that more. I think he's capable of it. I'm not saying he's got McCaffrey-like talent or an Eckler-like talent in terms of running routes, but I think he's definitely capable of being a good route runner and a guy that can hit on plays in the passing game. Bob says paying him $40 million a year was a mistake. It wasn't obvious at that price tag. The tag, sure, but he wasn't that good last season to garner that payday. Hey, that's fair. You want to argue the tag? That's fair. That's fair. I don't want to get into an argument about it. The tag is fair, but bringing him back to me was the obvious choice. Now we reassess. We see where we're at the end of the year. For me, the tag or the contract they gave him it's not much of a difference. Yes, you're further committed to him on the cap next year. But let me ask you, Bob, be honest with yourself. If this team plays the way that they are and they bomb the way that it appears they could this year, and we end up drafting a quarterback, does it really matter what your cap space is the year that you have a rookie quarterback? Are you competing to win a Super Bowl? So the way that I look at it is it doesn't make much of a difference other than that he got a big payday. It gave you a little bit more freedom to be able to fill out the roster this year, and you go from there. The risk that you ran if you tag Daniel Jones, even if Daniel Jones met what he did last year, he had a good year. The team made the playoffs, still wasn't an incredible quarterback. You were going to have to give him a mega deal off of that. So for me, it was kind of a Derek Carr-like deal like the Raiders did. They moved off of Carr when the team bombed. Same thing will happen here if this team doesn't get better and Daniel Jones doesn't play better. I don't think it mattered one way or the other, whether it was a tag or whether it was the type of deal that the New York Giants gave him. But you could certainly argue tag. But I thought it was the only option to bring him back. You want to talk semantics, say tag, 2-year commitment. That's fair. But the only move was to bring him back. Let's see. And Jones failed the Giants and stole from us. He definitely, he's not playing up to the contract like a lot of Giants, but he's certainly not playing up to the contract. Let's see. Sports Influencer says, no way a 2-5 team would start a 34-year-old veteran with zero developmental upside. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Craig, what's up, Craig? Barkley's a running back that gets ankle tackled way too much and can't stay healthy. It's unfortunate, but no, he's not as good as McCaffrey. I agree with that. But Christian McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey is in my opinion, the best running back in the NFL. Barkley's still a top 5 running back. He's still really good, but I agree he's not on that level. At one point I thought he was, but no, he's not on that level. Prestige says, Dana, good luck against my Jets this week, and I'll definitely stop by some streams to support our New York Knicks. Thanks for popping in, man. It's going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to playing you guys this week. And Drop a Dime says, Chris, enough with the excuse, man. Just admit it. Admit what? Admit what? What do you want me to admit? I'm not admit what? I'm not going to admit. I think it was still the right decision to sign him. Whether you want to say tag, I've said that for months. They could have tagged him. He's not playing well. But it would give me the better option. Give me the better option. I'd love to hear it. It was the right decision based off the situation the Giants were in. I'm not going to change my opinion on that. Sometimes the right decisions don't work out. You move on. It is what it is. You could argue tag, but it was the right decision to bring him back based off the situation the Giants were in. That's my opinion. I'm not going to change my opinion on that. Let's see what we got. Do you think if Taylor was starting, he would be more like Jones? I feel like Jones is playing poorly because of that. No. No, I don't. I think Taylor's playing like he's got nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose. He's going out there. He's throwing the ball. I just think that's the way that he plays. So, no, I do not. I think he'd be playing exactly the way that he's playing. Who would you say is the biggest threat to the Giants' defense in the Jets? Oh, it's Wilson. I'll tell you what. Their running back's damn good too, but no, it's Garrett Wilson. I think he's definitely the big. He's probably one of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. Would you move KT out of coverage? I mean, I prefer to have him as an edge rusher, but hey, listen, the defense has looked damn good the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it's been. Let Wink do what he's been doing. It's been really good. So I'm not, it's not like Kayvon's not getting at the quarterback. So it's working. I don't want to mess with it the way that it's looked the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's been good. We need to give Jones another game to start, and if he doesn't do well, then we'll see what happens. Apparently, if Taylor was the coaching staff has a big issue of incompetence, not realizing he should be the starter. What are you talking about? Tyrod Taylor? I haven't seen incompetence. He's looked good, man. He says, I was joking about Tyrod. He's a good player. I mean, DJ's the starter for now. And we'll see what happens by year's end. That, for me, a lot of people are making this debate about Daniel Jones and Taylor. For me, that's not much of a debate. I understand Taylor's played well. But the fact this has become a discussion, for me, it's the debate is more along the lines of, is it Daniel Jones or are we drafting a quarterback? That's where the debate is for me. I know Jones is the starter when he comes back. That's obvious. But the fact that Taylor, and I have to see the whole year. We got 10 more games, and who knows when Jones is going to come back. But the fact that Taylor has even made this a discussion, well, that's a knock on Daniel Jones. So we'll see at the end of the year how it all plays out. But to me, that's more the topic than Tyrod Taylor versus Daniel Jones. It's Daniel Jones versus potentially drafting a quarterback. That's where the debate is for me. It's not Taylor versus Jones. Taylor's not going to be the starter. Jones is going to be the starter. What's up, Matthew Steinman? Thanks for popping in. And Bob Wells says, no more tank talk. Be a Giants fan and cheer our boys on. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's entertainment. I'm not going to tell anybody how to root for the team. Everybody's entitled to root for the team the way they want to root for the team. But that's just me. I'm never going to root for my team to lose. That's just me. There's going to come a point where I like I've said several times, where I'm just like, whatever. It's week 16. Who cares if we win or lose? And, I'll understand it if it's good for a draft pick. But when the team's still, I understand we're 1-5. But when you're playing 3 winnable games coming up, I'm not going to start thinking about the tank and start thinking about drafting a quarterback. I'm just not going to do it. It's not in me. There's no guarantees in the NFL. Even when you have the first pick, you've seen all these busts that were first overall picks at the quarterback position. So that's me. But everybody's entitled to do what they want to do. Let's see. If I'm the Giants, I would play Taylor if I'm trying to win this week. I think they're going to play Taylor this week, unless Jones is 100%. I think Taylor's obviously played well enough where it's afforded the Giants the luxury not to have to rush Daniel Jones back. There's no reason to rush him back. Jones has to be 1,000% to be back in the lineup. There's no reason to rush him back. Taylor's playing good enough to win football games. That's what I want. So until Jones is 100% ready to go, I'm playing Taylor. Do you think the line played better because Neal was out? Maybe. I mean, Neal stinks, so I hate to say it, but Neal's just not very good. And Your Highness Charles says Jones has been a bust for years now. Admit it, Chris. I mean, listen, I never loved the pick. Last year, I supported the guy. He did exactly what I asked him to do. I'm a man of my word. I said going into the year, if he has a Derek Carr-like year from the previous season, which is exactly what he did, I'm going to want to keep the guy. He did it. I wanted to keep him. Has Daniel Jones ever been an elite quarterback? No, he's never been an elite quarterback. Has he shown flashes? Yes. Has he had very little support around him? Yes. But is he trending towards being a franchise quarterback? No. So I think the Giants signed Jones because they didn't have any options. It was, let's see what we got with Jones. Let's see if he can develop into a franchise quarterback. If he can't, we will replace him at some point, whether that be next year, the year after that, the year after that. That's just the way that it works. The Raiders did the same exact thing with Derek Carr. Derek Carr brought a Raiders team that nobody expected to sniff the playoffs to the playoffs, and then they gave him a big contract in terms of per year, but it was an easy out after a year. Giants kind of did the same thing. It's 2 years, but similar thing. It was half in, half out. It's not this mega deal that you see Joe Burrow got, that you saw Hurts get. So they didn't give him a franchise quarterback contract. They gave him let's see if you could become a franchise quarterback contract. Because right now we don't have any options. We're picking 25th. You played well last year. You got us to the playoffs. Let's see if you can build off that. And this year he hasn't built off it. So, right now, if you ask me if we're Daniel Jones, I've said this in previous streams. There's only a handful of quarterbacks that are irreplaceable, and Daniel Jones is not one of them. There's only a handful, and that would be, maybe 5 or 6. Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen. There's a few. There's not many. It's your job as the quarterback not to give the team the opportunity to draft your replacement. And if you're picking top 4 or 5, Dak Prescott would have been replaced. If the Cowboys ever picked top 3 or 4 in a strong quarterback class, Dak Prescott would have been gone. If the Minnesota Vikings ever picked top 4 or 5 and Kirk Cousins was the quarterback, he would have been gone. There's only 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks tops that are irreplaceable in the NFL. Daniel Jones is not one of them. So if the Giants are picking in a strong quarterback class and they're picking top 3, 4, 5, they're going to replace him. That's what's going to happen. That's the truth. Last year we were picking 25th. What were your options? Let's see. And Professionally Certified Hater says, I'm so excited about this Sunday. Keep in mind, we didn't have both of our top 10 corners. Listen, I know the Jets are legit. Your defense is one of the best in the league, so I'm not going to downplay your defense. The Jets are legit. I think you have one of the best 53-man rosters in the sport, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wink could create some mistakes against Wilson. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game. Your Highness says, name me the last quarterback who went from a check-down merchant to a star quarterback from 5. You're hoping for a miracle, and you should let that punk walk. Like I just said, he's replaceable. If there's an opportunity, he will be replaced if we're picking that high. That's just the nature of the NFL. That's the nature of the beast. So we'll see what happens. We'll see where we're picking. The Giants are in a situation where they don't have to draft a quarterback, but if they're in a spot where they could take one they really like, they're going to do it. That's the situation they're in. W. Alvin says, hypothetical, Tyrod wins the next 2. Is he the starter after? I mean, obviously it would become more of a topic. I still don't think so. I think when Jones is ready, he'll be the starter. But listen, I'm not the coach. I don't know what's going to happen. But I doubt it. I think Jones, when he's ready to go, is going to play. Your Highness says, could have paid Baker $5 million to spend. Okay, and here's my question. And be honest. If you paid Baker $5 million or $10 million, whatever it was, do you think this team would have been much better? I don't. Who was the magical guard you were going to get that was going to come in here and make this offensive line magical? We've seen how free agent offensive lineman signings have done in the past. You had John Michael Smith, you had Evan Neal, you had Andrew Thomas. Do you really think Baker Mayfield was going to come onto this team and suddenly you were going to be competing with the Dallas Cowboys and suddenly you were going to be competing with the San Francisco 49ers and suddenly you were going to – I mean, yes, obviously everything's always easier in hindsight. But going into the year, if you're Joe Schoen, you have a quarterback that is familiar with your system. He played with Dable last year. He brought your team to the playoffs. He showed growth throughout the course of the season. Option A is Baker Mayfield. Option B is Daniel Jones. I'm taking Daniel Jones. I'm not going to change my opinion on that. But that doesn't mean I think Daniel Jones is the long-term answer. He's got a lot more to prove, and he hasn't proven it. So we'll see what happens at the end of the year. Big Moose says, at least we could take comfort in having one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. No need to rush DJ. He's definitely one of the better backup quarterbacks. We aren't the Raiders, Chief. We won 2 Super Bowls recently. What does that mean? I understand that. I understand that. Peter Almo says, I don't want them to tank. And remember, there's going to be maybe 4 to 5 quarterbacks taken first. If we pick 5 to 7, we could land. And if we're not going quarterback, those are the guys I want. He's one of the best tackle prospects people have said in years, but people said that about Evan Neal too. Harrison Jr. to me is as good as they come in terms of a wide receiver prospect. So if we're not going quarterback and we're picking early, those are guys I'll definitely have my eye on. Chris says, to me, the problem, Jones, even last year, at best, he's just a game manager. We see this year, ask more, he can't do it. I can't argue that point. I was thinking he would show growth this year. He hasn't done it. So I can't argue that point. Obviously, the Giants thought he would show some growth too. He hadn't done it. Can't argue it. I hope it gets better when he comes back. That's all you could do. And if it doesn't, well, he will be replaced. Your Highness says Trubisky made the Pro Bowl. Chicago let him walk. Well, Trubisky played 8 games, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look up his stats. I'm pretty sure Mitch Trubisky his last year got replaced in season. I think they ended up making the playoffs his last year, but he got replaced in season his last year with the Buffalo Bills. And I think he only got reinserted back into the starting lineup because the guy who replaced him got hurt. He played 9 games that year, but I'm pretty sure he got replaced in season, and then they brought him back. Hey, listen, it is what it is. We'll move off of Jones if it continues to go down this path. And they ended up drafting a quarterback, didn't they? That next year when they moved off Trubisky, they ended up drafting Justin Fields, I think. So they felt they were in a position to draft a quarterback. Obviously, the Giants didn't. If the Giants thought they were in a position to draft a quarterback, they might have taken one last year. They obviously didn't. That's why they signed Jones. And Goblin says, all I've got to say is there has been a lot of revisionist history about Daniel Jones. He hasn't had a starting left tackle 1 snap this year. That's true, but neither is Taylor. But that is true. Going this year, you knew the team overperformed and was rebuilding. Only delusional fans thought we were close. I guess I'm delusional. I don't know if I thought we were close, but I thought we were closer. I thought there was reason for hope that there was going to be growth this year. I thought Evan Neal was going to get better. I thought Kayvon Thibodeau was going to get better. I thought Jones would be better year 2 in the same offense. I didn't think we were at the Eagles level. I didn't think we were quite at the Cowboys level, but I thought we were getting closer. It is what it is. They haven't met those levels. The Giants line was 6.5 in Vegas for a reason, yet Giants fans were talking 10 wins. They fluked their way into the playoffs and were overrated. Obviously, that's fair to say at this point. I thought 9 wins was very possible. Probably not going to happen. Probably looking at 6 wins, like you said. It is what it is. Let's see. What's up, Kush, man? Thanks for popping in. Let's be happy with the defense. The defense has been great. Defense has been great the last 3 weeks. They've looked like a legitimate top 10 defense. And I think that's something to be really encouraged about going forward. So we'll see. Kayvon has 11 pressures in the last 2 games and is on pace for 13 sacks. He's been really good. Would you rather a top 3 defense and a poor offense or a top 3 offense and a poor defense? I'd go with the offense. I mean, obviously I want both. But in today's day and age, I'd want the offense. I think the offense gives you the best chance. If I could pick one or the other. What movie did I see? I saw the one with DiCaprio. I said it at the top of the stream. I saw what's it called? It was great. The Moon. What somebody in the chat's gonna say it. Killers of the Flower Moon by Martin Scorsese. It was definitely long, and if you're going into the movie, you better be prepared to be watching a long, sad. There's nothing positive that comes out of the movie. It's a true story. It's history. You can't rewrite history. But it's great. The acting was great. It didn't feel like 3.5 hours for me. Definitely recommend seeing it. It was really good. Let's see. Drop a Dime says John Mara won't let them get rid of Jones. I disagree with that. It all depends. Drop a Dimes. Let's see where we're picking at the end of the year. Let's see where we're picking before we start talking about it. But if we're in a position to take a quarterback, I think we will. But it all depends on if they really like a quarterback, and we'll see where we're picking. Peter Almo says, DJ proved to me through 5 games that if the protection is poor enough, his mind can be broken. I can't get behind that. I agree, Pete. I mean, I hope it gets better, but at this point, like several people have said in the stream, it's been 5 years. I can't fight it anymore. I want to fight it. I'm a Giants fan. I want him to be successful. I see the writing on the wall. I know if we go out there and draft a quarterback, it's probably going to be at least another 2 years before this team's competitive. I was hoping Daniel Jones would get better second year in the scheme. Hasn't happened. It sucks. But it's the truth. He has not gotten better. But hopefully he gets better when he gets back and Thomas gets back and everything else. That's all you can hope. We still got 10 games left in the season. Corp says New York Giants turn 100 in 2025. I hope that we have our franchise quarterback by then. Well, that'd be nice. Kobe says, Hikers, big fan. Love you guys. It's like watching with friends. Caleb, I appreciate that, man. Thanks for popping in. Buddy. All I'm saying is this. If you want a ring number 5, that quarterback has to be a Hall of Famer. 86% of quarterbacks since 1990 have been. The others have been historic defenses. Hey, listen, man. I've talked about this on my streams several times. You can win a Super Bowl without an elite quarterback, or I don't even want to use the term elite, but you need a very good quarterback. You need a top 10 quarterback, like a consistent top 10 quarterback. You can win one without one, but to consistently compete to be in the championship year in and year out for a 5 or 6 year period, yeah, you need an upper echelon quarterback. You don't need Pat Mahomes, but you need a very good quarterback. Obviously, a great surrounding team helps, like the 49ers, so on and so forth. But more often than not, yeah, you're going to need a very good quarterback. I'm not going to say you need Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen, but you need a very good quarterback to compete to win Super Bowls consistently. I agree with that. Let's see. And Kudabank says, Jonathan Allen or Leonard Williams, thoughts? Listen, Leo looked good this past week. And he's another guy I've been disappointed with this year before last week. He looked really good, but he didn't do much before that. I thought he was going to have a huge year this year because of Dexter Lawrence, because of Kayvon getting better. But Leonard, before yesterday, which I'll give him his props, he was good yesterday, has been a non-factor. But hopefully that continues because he certainly will help the defense. Chris says, would be okay if they like a quarterback to trade up for him. Would I be okay? Yeah. I'm not necessarily going to be calling for it. But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, I'm going to trust Joe Schoen. I don't even want to use the term trust. I'm going to give Joe Schoen the chance to build his team. Trust has to be earned. But I'm going to give Joe Schoen the chance to build his team. And if Joe Schoen identifies a quarterback in this draft that he feels is worthy of trading up multiple picks to go up and get, that's his guy. Okay, Joe, that's your guy. Now you sink or you swim. So absolutely, I will support it. And I will be encouraged because I'll say to myself, okay, Joe Schoen's a smart guy. Joe Schoen did not force a quarterback pick the year before. Joe Schoen waited for the right opportunity. He has now found his guy that he's willing to give up this draft capital to go up and get. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. Of course I'll support it. Let's see. Drop a Dime says, we can't afford to move on from Dable or Shane, though. They need at least 4 years. Mara can't afford. I don't think he will. I really don't. I don't. If they keep Jones, it's not because Mara's forcing them. We have to see what the circumstances are at the end of the year. I don't think that's the case. I don't think he forced them on him this year. It was the best alternative. Based off the situation. Let's see. Bob says fans have no problem wasting picks on tackles. I mean, I do. I wanted them to draft Evan Neal, obviously. But if Evan Neal doesn't work, which I'm at least trending towards, it may not work. It was a horrible pick. But I agree with taking a tackle there. We need it. Look at the offensive line. So I agreed with the selection of taking a tackle. But if the tackle doesn't work, I'm going to care. This is a bad pick. It's a very bad pick. And that will be a black eye on Joe Schoen. That's a huge miss. You miss a tackle at 7th overall. Of course I'm going to be pissed off about that if Evan Neal continues to play the way that he's been playing. Of course. And Welvin says, biggest disappointment outside of Jones in the O-line. I don't even want to know. I don't even know if I want to consider the O-line a disappointment. It's kind of expected, especially with Andrew Thomas not playing. So I don't even know if I want to consider that disappointment. I mean, Evan Neal's been disappointing. I expected he would take a step up, but the rest was whatever. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get from a rookie with Schmitz or the guards. And then with Thomas out, it went to hell. I mean, our offensive line's not good to begin with. So I don't even know if I want to consider that a disappointment. Evan Neal as an individual is. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, the defense is definitely starting to hit where it's supposed to hit, I think. It's definitely trending towards being at least an average defense. I think above average the way it's played recently. I would say the receiving core as a whole has been at least somewhat underwhelming, but that's some of that falls on the quarterback as well. So, yeah, the line has obviously been really bad, but it's kind of expected, especially with Thomas out. Let's see. Blitz says, what's up, Chris? A tough foot win yesterday. Defense was flying around. Offense was off and on, but a win is a win. We got to keep exactly. That's where I'm at, man. I'm thinking about this year. Let's keep winning football games. Let's find a way to win football games. The defense played as good as you could have hoped. I mean, 7 points. They were incredible. Like you said, offense was on and off, but the most encouraging thing is we've seen big plays now, big play capabilities. You're starting to see Hyatt get more involved. You're starting to see Waller get more involved. That needs to continue, regardless of who the quarterback is. So eventually, this should result in more points. The funny thing is, Blitz, this year, we've kind of been a little bit of the opposite when the offense is clicking. The last 2 weeks in the Arizona game, we've hit on big plays, but we can't score inside the 20. Last year, we never got inside the 20, but whenever we did, we would score. We had a top 5 red zone offense last year. We have not operated well, for whatever reason it is, from inside the 20. I don't know how long the Darren Waller touchdown pass was yesterday. I think it was inside the 20. It was probably about a 15-yard pass, but the Saquon Barkley touchdown was not. So at most, we had 1 red zone touchdown yesterday. We were 0 for 5 the week before. So that's got to clean itself up. The play, whatever, if that's the play calling, whatever. And Barkley being out certainly attributes to some of that, because Barkley's a huge help from it, with inside the red zone. But that's been a big disappointment for the offense thus far this year. That's got to get better. If we start scoring from inside the 20, we'll start putting up maybe, low 20s, which is a ton for this team. Dennis says Neal needs to be a guard. Now I would not be upset with that transition if they do that. I still don't think that's going to happen. I think Neal will be the tackle for the rest of this year when he's back and healthy. And then next year, if he doesn't show any signs of growth, they'll make the transition. But I wouldn't be against doing that at this point. Bob says we've drafted most O-lines in rounds 1 and 2 last 5 years. Probably have. I mean, we took Neal. Thomas was obviously a great pick. Smits we don't know yet. We got to find out with John Michael Smits. It's year 1. Neal, I guess we don't know yet, but it's definitely trending towards the wrong direction. Hernandez was a bad pick. That didn't work out, even though a lot of people loved it when we made it. Yeah, I mean, those are your I guess your 4 offensive linemen we've taken within the first 2 rounds since I guess Gettleman took the job, right? Hernandez, Thomas, Neal, and John Michael Smits this year. So Thomas hit in a big way. Neal was not hit. John Michael Smits is to be determined, and Will Hernandez was a miss. I mean, could you blame him though? Of course they should take offensive linemen early. The offensive line's been pitiful. You got to continue to try to fix it. I'm not mad that they took linemen. I'm mad that the linemen haven't worked out for whatever reason it is, whether it be the coaching or whether it be, the draft evaluation, whatever. We're back. We'll go with the crappy mic for the rest of the stream, so I don't got to worry about that. But what's going on, Katreek Mannix popping in the stream? Tana, would you be okay with taking Jaden Daniels in the second round? Kid looks like the Heisman. If I'm going quarterback, I mean, we'll talk about it at the end of the year. I mean, obviously, I like the same quarterback everybody likes, but we're not going to be picking first. That's not going to happen, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to be picking first. And if we're not picking first, we're not getting them. but that's Caleb Williams, obviously. And then I'll tell you what, man, I've said it. If we go quarterback, everybody's got their eyes on Drake May. I get it. Big arm. I get it. I like McCarthy. If we're taking a quarterback inside the top 10 picks, I like him. I think he's got potential out of Michigan. But I haven't looked at a ton of these quarterbacks. I haven't looked at a ton of the quarterbacks. I haven't even looked at a mock draft. I don't even know where these guys are going. And Dennis says, it's so frustrating that Hernandez, Parrott, and Neal were considered draft day steals and have just not worked out. Matt Parrott, I was so excited for, said, oh, there's another guy. I forgot about him. He's third round, wasn't a second round. But yeah, my God, what an abysmal failure he's been. Yeah, we were all excited. I mean, he had all the measurables, long arms, athletic, hasn't translated on the football field. Well, Penix, Bad Dog likes Penix more than me. I like Penix, but he's older. He's had a ton of injuries at the collegiate level. I'm not as high on him as Bad Dog. And what's going on? If you guys haven't done so, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. Jonathan says, you think in the offseason the Giants could make a crazy trade for Nelson from Indy, depending on their cap? To be honest with you, I don't want that. I don't want to bring in a veteran guard personally. I'm okay with bringing in a stopgap veteran guard, but I want them to build their line through the draft. I want them to continue to build their line through the draft, and I want them to continue to hopefully have these younger players grow and get better. The only way this line is going to get better is if they stay together and they continue to grow as a unit. The offensive line is about a unit. It's not about individuals. They have to play together. Can't keep flipping linemen. So I want these younger guys to mature and get better, and continue to shuffle in through the draft. That's ideally, that's how I want them to build this line. I'm not saying first round, but I'm saying continue to drafting linemen, whether it be a second round, third round, fourth round. Continue drafting linemen. I mean, Joby, if we're being honest, I don't think Bobby Johnson's going to be the coach. So somebody's got to coach him up, whether it be Bobby Johnson or whether it be somebody else. But yes, somebody's going to, whoever the offensive line coach is going to be. This is what I want. I want the Giants to be able to find an offensive line, because that's just as important as the players themselves. We talk about continuity on the offensive line, growing together, playing together. The coach matters too a lot. Having the same coach in your ear, teaching you the same techniques, so on and so forth. Find a coach that you don't have to flip after a year or two. Find a guy that could build with this unit for 3, 4, 5 years. Whether that's Bobby Johnson, whether that's somebody else. But yeah, the coach is massive. They have to find a good offensive line coach, and he's got to stay here. Here's my hot take, Knicks Nation. Again, I'm sure the mock drafts don't have him top 10 right now. I think he's going top 5. There's my hot take. Maybe I'll look like a fool on draft night. I think J.J. McCarthy's going to be a top 5 pick on draft night. I think he's going to soar up draft charts. But hey, I've been wrong before. What's up, Sappy Jam? He says, during the draft, I wanted Ekwonu so bad, but do you think it would have made a difference with this coaching, or are they just two different players? I mean, for me, Sappy, and I loved Ekwonu as a player. He's just a fun player to watch, a super physical lineman. But the guy, where I was actually leaning as the draft got close, just because of the way that I think he would have fit in our blocking scheme and where his strength was, which was pass protection. If we weren't going Neal, I was actually leaning Charles Cross. I thought he projected well with the type of scheme that I thought we were projecting to be leaning towards as an offense, or wanting to build towards. So I was leaning, I wanted Neal. I thought he was the safest. But if I was going to go off of Neal, I actually thought Cross fit better. You're the second person today I've heard say, really? Yeah, I haven't seen, I've looked at a few mock drafts, and I haven't seen J.J. McCarthy. I haven't seen J.J. McCarthy near the top, but I haven't looked at them in a few weeks, so maybe that's changed. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick. I think he's tremendous. Let's see what we got. Mark says the next stretch of games could be great for DJ with how the rest of the team is trending, but at this point, the haters will probably never shut up. It is what it is. Listen, that just comes with the territory. Whoever the quarterback is, that's never going away. What's up, Renee, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. What trait do you think Flowers, Parrott, and Neal share that made them flops? Balance, foot speed, top heavy. Oh, yeah. Neal specifically. Well, I mean, all of them. But I think the biggest weakness for Neal and Parrott are actually kind of the opposite, where Parrott's kind of, Neal's strong. Neal's physical. Parrott's more of like a finesse guy with long arms. He's got the measurables. For me, the biggest knock that I have on Neal that I see week to week to week to week, he doesn't get off the line of scrimmage. He doesn't anticipate. He's so slow on the snap for me. And that's the biggest gripe I have with Evan Neal. And I haven't seen any growth of it. He's so slow off the line of scrimmage. He's strong when it comes to run blocking, which is why I think inevitably he's probably going to project to be a better guard. He's pretty good when it comes to run blocking, but when it comes to pass protection, he's so slow off the snap. He doesn't get out of his stance quick enough. They just go right around him off the edge. You got it, Mark. And what's up, Thrill Collins, Dave Gettleman? What Shane should have done in 2022, taking Ekwonu at 5. Carolina would have taken Neal at 6. I have no doubt. I don't even know how Ekwonu's done in the NFL, to be completely honest with you. I haven't been keeping up with him. Obviously, he's doing better than Neal. I know Ekwonu and Cross were decent last year. I remember that. I haven't kept up with how they've been doing this year. To be honest with you, Thrill, I actually disagree with that. I mean, obviously, in hindsight, yeah. But when the Giants were picking on draft night, I still stand by this. If I was Shane, there were 3 premium tackles available. And Shane said this after the fact. The 3 top tackles were all still available, and you were picking again at 7. If I was Shane, I would have done the same thing. I would have taken my defensive player first, especially if I had a near even grade on the tackles, which Shane said he did. I would have taken my defensive player first, and then I would have taken my tackle at 7. Now, obviously, Neal's trending towards not being the right tackle to take, but that I think I would have the same strategy he did. Let's see. Chat, this is a random question, but would you all allow y'all girl? What a random question that is. Let's see. Well, Thrill, yeah, if that was the case, I agree with you. Like, if they felt he was much better, or if they were much higher in a tackle than they were, if it wasn't close, which Shane said it was, but if it wasn't close, I agree. You go the tackle first. But then the thing you have to worry about with Tibbs, yeah, more likely than not, the Panthers wouldn't have taken him because they have a really good, or at least they have a trending really good defense. They have Burns on the outside at the edge. They needed to improve the offensive line. So more than likely they wouldn't have. But what Carolina could have done, a team could have traded up to 6 to get Kayvon. So if you really like Kayvon there, I still think it was the right pick for Shane to do what he did because there were still really good tackles available. Let's see. My girl's not. Oh, God. All the females just left the chat. Unlimited Liquid said, my girl's not allowed to have any friends except the stove. Unlimited Liquid comes home every day after work. He comes in, he says, honey, get the cooking. Get the cooking. Where's my dinner? Oh, we got a bunch of jerks in this chat. Let's see what we got here. Do you anticipate the Giants trading for O-line before the deadline? No, I do not. I don't think we're gonna trade for any offensive lineman at the deadline. What's going on, Cold Red Man? Thanks for popping in. Stand up offense. What's going on, man? Bookend says it's easy for people to trash the Neal pick now. He was projected to go high, and he did. Hindsight. Yeah, listen. I want to Neal on draft night. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes you're wrong. I love the Andrew Thomas pick. I was right. I hated the Daniel Jones pick. I might be right. What other picks did we have? I love the Deonte Banks pick. I think I'm probably going to be right. So sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. I wanted Evan Neal. The two guys I wanted most in that draft, if they fell to us, go back and watch the videos. I wanted Sauce. I wanted Sauce more than anything as the draft got closer, and I wanted Evan Neal. And I said if Sauce was gone, I wanted Kayvon. That's what happened. I got the two guys I wanted. I got Kayvon and I got Evan Neal. Evan Neal doesn't look like he's going to work out. Let's see. Nobody wants to talk about Trayvon Walker. What about him? He wasn't good last year. I don't think he's been doing great this year, but I haven't been keeping up with the Jaguars. Thinking realistically, what do you think Dave thinks of Jones? Me personally, I don't think he's his guy. I mean, we'll find out. But, I mean, probably not. He wasn't here when we drafted him. Bleed Blue says, Tane, I wish you took sport broadcasting 24/7. You got talent. Hey, man, listen. Hey, you never know. Maybe one day I will. I don't know. I do want to do some more Knicks games this year. I will say that. I have fun doing the Knicks games. I want to do some more Knicks games this year. I plan on being much more active this offseason because I think it's going to be a very, very important offseason. I think there's going to be a ton to talk about. This past offseason was kind of just basically bringing back the guys that we that we had to bring back, that were on the roster. We made a couple of nice additions, but this offseason, I think it's going to be a complete blow up. So I think it's going to be a very important offseason. So there'll be a ton of content this offseason. Yeah, I love talking about the team, but sometimes it gets stressful, man. Big Moose says, what do you think of the punt returner we picked up today? About time we addressed it. Yeah, I didn't do a lot of research on him. I saw it on Twitter. Somebody sent me a message on Twitter, so I looked at it briefly. He's on the practice squad. It was something that needs to be addressed. So I'm happy. I'm happy that we did it finally. We need somebody back there that you feel confident fielding punts. And it's definitely worth taking up. Even if that's all he does, it is worth it. For everybody that always says at the beginning of the year, let's bring in, I don't care if, who was the guy in special teams 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, the wide receiver that was only making the team for special teams purposes. I forgot his name. Somebody in the chat say it. And everybody hated the guy. They were always like, this guy shouldn't make the team. We should put this guy in the roster. Special teams is important. When you don't have a guy back there that can field punts, it can cost you football games. So it is certainly worth one of the 53 spots on the roster. I don't know why the names escape me. The wide receiver not Cody Core. That's not who I'm talking about. Not Cody Core. He was a special teams ace, but not Cody Core. Why's the name escape me? No, not Dwayne Harris. Hold on. Now I got to look at the Giants roster. Giants 2021 roster. 2020. I don't remember if he made the team last year. I know he made it in 2021. Wide receiver. CJ Board. People used to hate CJ Board. They're like, how is this guy making the team? Special teams are important, guys. So I'm completely for them using a roster spot at that position. That could cost you football games. Prum says, what do you make of Hyatt's playing time utilization? Pretty impressed with Banks and Hawkins. Any moves you think they'll make before the trade deadline? If we make any moves at the trade deadline, I think it'll be as sellers. I don't think we're going to be I know he was a gunner, Mark, but he was on the team for special teams, but I know he was a gunner. But special teams are important. What do you make of Hyde's playing time utilization? Pretty impressed with Banks Hawkins. Any moves you think they'll make before the trade deadline? If we make any moves before the trade deadline, I think it'll be as sellers. I don't think we'll be buyers. I don't see Shane, even if we win our next game, because the trade deadline I think is on Halloween. So I don't see Shane being like, oh, let's go out there and make a big splash to put this team over the top. At the end of the day, we're still 3-5. We still haven't shown that we can compete with the upper echelon teams. So if we make any moves, I think it's sellers. I don't picture us being buyers. And I think it all depends on what we can get. You know, everybody's saying trade Saquon, trade Saquon, trade Saquon. You're not going to trade Saquon Barkley for a bag of chips. If there is a market out there for Saquon Barkley, you listen. I think Shane will listen to offers. I don't think he's going to come to the table desperate, because that's how you get screwed in a trade. But if there's a partner out there that is willing to give what he feels is fair value, yeah, I think he'll look to move off and try to acquire draft picks so he could start to continue, I should say, to build his team through the draft. So we'll see. If teams are willing to take players that have big contracts that he doesn't think are a part of the future, like a Leonard Williams, a Dory Jackson, for example, even though he's hurt, so he's not going to be traded. Things like that. I don't think we'll be buyers. Let's see. Charlie S says prediction: Knicks Celtics game and the rest of the season. I'm excited for the Knicks this year, man. I think the Knicks are. I haven't been keeping up with the whole East, so I know that there's been a lot of big additions in the East. Teams have gotten better. I think the Knicks are going to be damn good. Obviously not a championship team yet. They need one more big piece, I think, to become championship contenders. But the Knicks are damn good. The Knicks are going to be good, man. I think the Knicks are going to win close to 50 games. Maybe they win 47, 48. I think they're going to be upper 40s. I think they're going to have a good year. I'm looking forward to the Knicks this year. Let's see. What role do you see Hyatt having on the offense against the Jets? The same role he's been having. Big play threat. I mean, the guy that could take the top off of a defense. So big play threat. Get your way in WFN. Hey, give WFN a call. Tell them to give me a call. I appreciate it, man. No extension for Emmanuel Quickly. Ayub, I'm going to be honest with you. I was all aboard the Emmanuel Quickly train in terms of giving him the extension in season. And then after I saw the way that he played in the playoffs, I said, I'll wait. I'll wait. After the way I saw that he shrunk in the play. I still like Quickly, and I definitely saw growth from his game throughout the course of the year. He definitely plays more under control than he did his first couple of years in the league. He's gotten better. He's becoming a better distributor. But after the way I saw him play in the playoffs, I'm like, I'll wait. Let's see how it plays out. Prum says, do we know if DJ is in against the Jets? No, we don't know. And I don't think we will know until probably a day or two before the game. Dable's going to do what he's been doing. He's going to play head games. He's not going to give away secrets before the game starts. We'll see. You know, we'll see by game time. I'm leaning he probably still won't be in, because I'm going to tell you what, Prum. Taylor's played well enough not to have to rush Daniel Jones back. We could win this game with Tyrod Taylor quarterback. So unless Daniel Jones is 100%, there's no reason to rush him out there. So we'll see. Tana, final score prediction for the game. Jets. I said this week for the first time in a while. Obviously, I thought we'd beat the Cowboys week 1. I'm a moron. I didn't think we'd win week 2 after the way we looked week. Wait, who did we play week 2? Did we play Arizona week 2? I thought we beat Arizona. But outside of that, I didn't pick it. I think we played the 49ers week 2. I can't remember. But I didn't pick us to win any game after the Cowboys game outside of the Arizona game. I thought we'd be competitive in the Bills game. And preseason, I thought we'd beat the Bills because of Shane and Dable's familiarity. And I still think that was a major factor in that game and a major reason why we competed as much as we did in that game. Obviously, the Bills don't look as good as I thought they were, though, off of last week. This past week, I thought they'd win. I thought we'd beat Washington. And I thought it would be a game similar to the way that it played out. Low scoring, one-score game. I see a similar game this week. I think it's going to be low 30s, upper 30s, mid 30s, ugly, disgusting football. You're going to want to turn up your TV while you're watching the game. But I think the Giants are actually going to squeak out another one. And I think the Jets are a better football team. Hey, I'm an optimist. I think the Giants are going to find a way to win this game. I think Wink is going to create some turnovers against Zach Wilson, and the Giants are going to find a way to win this game. I do. I think we're going to upset the Jets. Call me crazy. I think we're going to win. I really do. Let's see. And Just a Guy says, literally the only factor that matters in a Saquon trade is it more than the comp pick? If yes, then he can go. The math is simple on that one. Well, comp pick's a 3rd or 4th round pick. We'll see. To me, it has to be a 2nd round pick to start if I'm trading Saquon Barkley. I'm not trading for a 3rd round pick because I see value in keeping Saquon. Even if you're drafting a rookie quarterback, I see value in keeping Saquon for the rookie quarterback. He's got to have some support. What is he going to have if you get rid of Saquon? So I see some value in keeping Saquon, but I am also willing to trade him. But it's got to be the right deal. I'm not giving him away for peanuts. I'm not giving him away for nothing. I have to get something for him. Otherwise, I tag him again. I bring him back next year, whether it be with Jones or whether it be with the rookie quarterback. And then maybe I trade him for one of the season that year if the right opportunity presents itself. But I'm not just trading Saquon to trade Saquon. He's a franchise-altering player. He's still a very good football player. He's still a guy that can change an offense. If you put him in the right system, if you put him in the right scheme, you put him in a situation like McCaffrey did with the 49ers. If you put Saquon Barkley on the Baltimore Ravens, if you put Saquon Barkley on the Cleveland Browns, if you put him in the right situation, Saquon Barkley could have a major impact for a franchise. So I'm not giving him away for nothing. I'm not doing it. Let's see. There's a good question. Tana, if you could add one of these players to the current Giants, who would you choose? Justin Jefferson, Micah Parsons, Penei Sewell. Oof. Knicks Nation coming with some heat. That's a good one. I'm going Parsons. Now, I love offensive linemen, and I love Penei Sewell. And he is a huge reason why the Lions are as good as they are, because their biggest strength is their offensive line. And, I mean, Justin Jefferson's fantastic. But to me, yeah, you got to go with the franchise-changing pass rusher. You got to go with Micah Parsons. You can find value at the wide receiver position in the drafts. You can find talent there. You look at what franchise-altering pass rushers can do for a defense. You look at what Bosa did for the 49ers when they acquired him. You look at what Parsons did for the Cowboys. The Cowboys had like the worst defense in football the year that they drafted Parsons. 2 years later, they were one of the best. Having a guy like that changes everything. It makes everybody in the defense better. Jay says, Hawkins, Banks, Flott, Pinnock, let them grow together. I mean, yeah, they're going to. Pinnock's played well this year. He had the pick 6. He had a sack yesterday. He's starting to make some impact plays. Yeah, I mean, that's part of our future. There's a lot of other players that are part of our future, but they're certainly a big part of it. Giants should be buyers. I do not want the Giants to be buyers, personally. Christopher said, I don't necessarily want us to be sellers. I think it depends on the market. But I don't want us to be buyers. Christopher says, oh, man, can you imagine Parsons in a New York uniform? Nah, that would be nice. Didn't happen. Parsons and Wink is like peanut butter and jelly. Oh, yeah. Chris, do you think Banks has a chance at Defensive Rookie of the Year? He's been shut down, and thank you. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to. I'm trying to think of this draft. Let me look at the draft real quick. 2023 NFL draft. I mean, he's been great. Probably not. Because he's not, he only has one interception, and obviously they look at stats like that, but he's been great. Defensively, what's his name on the Eagles has been really good. I don't know what his stats have been, but every time I tune in, Jalen Carter's been a factor. Every time I watch an Eagles game, he's involved. It's probably him. I mean, let me look at the counting stats for defensive players. Yeah, Jalen Carter has the most sacks. He's got 3.5. He's probably the other guy, by the way. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I only saw him play once when we played them. Devin Witherspoon. Holy crap, man! That guy could play. Witherspoon is friggin' awesome on the Seahawks. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Everybody's saying Witherspoon. He was awesome. He was the best player in the field that day. Let's see. As of right now, does X deserve another contract? No. I would not bring him back. Well, let me ask the chat. And I know Xavier McKinney is a very popular player amongst Giants fans. And he's good. He's definitely good. He makes plays. Is he worth $19 million a year? Are you going to commit $19 million a year to the safety position? I would not do it. Because that's what safeties are going to go for. That's what he's going to command. I would not do it. I'd let him go. Big Moo says, Dunleavy said Shane Davis told Saquon no trade. If that's accurate, there you go. I don't think we're going to I think we'd have to be, I don't want to use the term blown away, but I think the Giants would have to get a really good offer to trade Saquon Barkley. I don't think they're looking to trade him. I think they'd have to get a really good offer. Let's see. No, I don't think Barkley. I mean, I know Barkley hurt his elbow or whatever it was this past game, but no, I don't think he'll sit out. Jeremy's all aboard the lineman trade. Jeremy, you're on the right channel. You know where my head's at when it comes to that. He says this team needs lineman, draft lineman, not another quarterback, running back, or wide receiver. Listen, at the end of the day, that's our biggest problem. Even the biggest quarterback supporter of drafting a quarterback, which I acknowledge is definitely a very possible option, and I would not be against it if we were in the right spot and the right quarterback was available. But even they can't deny, in my opinion, if they're being honest, the biggest overall problem on this team remains the offensive line. It does. The offensive line's abysmal. So I'm completely for continuing to address the offensive line until they fix it. Just a guy says, sell everything not nailed down by Brian Burns. Oh, is he? I don't even know. Is he a free agent this year? We're not gonna have a ton of money in free agency. I don't expect us to spend big. Frank says if he wants $10 million, yeah, not anything north of that. I would not. Yeah, I'm not. And he's going to want more than that, Frank. We saw what he did this offseason. He signed a mega agent that gets a ton of money for their clients. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in the future for this team. Let's see. I agree, Tommy. That's why, like I said, the right circumstance, you take the quarterback. But I still think until the line gets good, we're not going to be competitive consistently. I mean, Mike, it's a fair. I think the mindset is quarterback's the most important position. We could all agree on that, right? If you feel there's an upper echelon quarterback, if you're Shane, you say to yourself, I'm going to get this guy now, and I'm going to spend the next 2 years fixing this line while he's on his rookie deal. But if he don't fix the line, it's not going to matter. I agree with you. Let's see. No, thank you for for swinging in, Cameron. I'm thinking something good had to come out of me, out of the mess of an O-line. Guys are playing for their football lives out there. I hope so. The line looks a little bit better, but it's still bad. O-line must get the attention for any long-term success. I mean, that's obvious. All you got to do is look in the division, Mark. Like let's be honest. Be honest, chat, right now. Name, let's even say Justin Herbert, which is very unlikely you're going to land a quarterback as good as Justin Herbert. He's one of the 5, 6, 7 most talented quarterbacks in the league. So the chances of even Caleb Williams being as good as Justin Herbert are probably less than 50%. You see how many busts happen inside the top 3 picks. But let's say one of these quarterbacks you draft are Justin Herbert level in terms of talent, upside, which is great. He is a franchise quarterback in every sense of the word. Let's say you do that. If this offensive line does not improve significantly, are you going to beat the Dallas Cowboys with Justin Herbert at quarterback? If Justin Herbert was on this team right now, the Chargers are 2-4, by the way. If Justin Herbert was on this team right now with this offensive line and that pass rush on the Dallas Cowboys, are you beating them? You're probably not even coming close. Are you beating the Philadelphia Eagles? No, you're not. So, while I acknowledge if you have an opportunity to draft a high-end quarterback, it's the most important position, you're doing it. This team's not going to compete to win until that line gets better. You got to play Micah Parsons twice a year. You got to play the Philadelphia Eagles twice a year. You got to play that strong defensive line with Washington twice a year. This offensive line has to get better. There's no love affair with Jones. Jones is replaceable, and he will be replaced if this keeps up. So happy we got a dub. My question for you is, why is Hyatt not a focus? What is it with Dable wants him to improve on? He has speed and hands. I mean, what's up, Big Pat, man? Thanks for popping the stream, man. Well, I think he's starting to become a focus with Matt. He's had 9 targets now in the last 2 weeks. So I think he only had like 2 targets before that. So they're starting to implement him more into the offense, and I think that'll only grow. I'm not surprised by his utilization early on in the year. I didn't think he'd be heavily utilized early on in the year. I thought it would be an expanding role as the year went along. And I think you're starting to see that. You're seeing it with Wandell. You're seeing it with him. I think over the second half of the season, Hyatt's probably going to be our second most targeted weapon in the passing game outside of Waller. Probably. And I think it's certainly trending that way. Like, if I look at the box score this past week, we threw 29 passes. In terms of targets, Waller led the team with 8. He had 7 catches. Second was Hyatt. Hyatt had the second most targets. He had 5 targets. 2 catches, 75 yards. Of course, you don't expect him to catch a super high percentage of his targets because most of them are low percentage throws down the field. But he had 5 targets. 4 was Barkley. And then after that, Hodgins was also at 4. So, yeah, I think he's starting to get more and more of an expanded role. But if you look at Hyatt's stats throughout the course of the year, he's only had how many targets? He had 5 targets this past week, 4 targets against Buffalo, 0 targets against Miami, 2 targets against Seattle, and 0 targets against San Francisco. So he only had 2 targets all year before the last 2 games, but the last 2 games he's had 9. So you're starting to see the Giants use him more in the offense. Let's see. And J-Man says the free agent market for defensive end is ridiculous. Rashawn Gary's a free agent. Huh. They didn't extend him? Really? They didn't give him the 5th-year option? Oh, this is his 5th year. Okay. I thought it was his 4th year. I loved him coming out of Michigan. Wow. I like him. I mean, his contract's going to be obscene. I don't know how he's doing this year, but he's really good, and he's versatile too. You want to talk about a perfect replacement for Leonard Williams? That's your guy. He'd be a great replacement for Leonard Williams. I don't know, I'm sure his market's going to be obscene, but he's young. You could play him both on the inside and the outside. He's a really good fit. I would love him. I just don't know what his market would be, but yeah, I like him. Both Commanders ends, yeah. Chase Young, they didn't extend him on the 5th-year option. The guy in the Panthers, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe we will. Let's see. Chris Hoffman says, if you could go back to Barkley's draft class, are you still grabbing Barkley at 2 or doing something? No. People have asked me that now for years. I wasn't on YouTube for that draft, and I love Saquon Barkley to death. Like, I love him. Like, I will always be a Giants fan. But if Saquon goes to any team outside of the division, if Saquon Barkley gets traded, I'm going to root my ass off for him. I love Saquon Barkley. Everything I want in a New York Giant. As a player, as a person, everything. Love him. But the Giants should not have drafted Saquon Barkley. Shouldn't have drafted him. He didn't fit what the timeline should have been. After they drafted, I supported the hell out of him. I love him. He's a Giant. He's a great guy. I love him. But no, Giants should have traded back in that draft. I mean, in hindsight, you should have taken Josh Allen. But, nobody knew Josh Allen was going to become what he became. But they should have traded back in that draft. They obviously didn't love a quarterback. Otherwise, they would have taken one. Thank God they didn't take Rosen or Darnold. But if they didn't love a quarterback, it's the same thing. It's my same opinion I have this year in this year's draft. If you were picking that high in a quarterback-rich draft class, which that one was, what's ironic is the quarterbacks that were at the top of that draft turned out to be the bad ones. And the quarterbacks that were, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, because most people thought Rosen was going to go ahead of Allen. The top three going in by most people's standards were Mayfield, Rosen, and Darnold. Turned out to be Josh Allen was ahead of Rosen. But the 4 and 5, by most people's rankings, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson turned out to be the better ones. But when you are in a rich quarterback draft going in and you're picking that high, you're picking second, if you're not taking a quarterback, you should trade back. You should trade back and accumulate draft picks and then take a guy like a Nelson or somebody. So that, in my opinion, on draft night was the best option. But when they took Saquon, I was excited. He's an exciting player. And as a fan of Eli Manning and the Giants, I was like, okay, they're giving Eli another shot. They're giving Eli another shot. They're going to see what they could do with the guy. We're 2 years removed from making the playoffs. 2017 was a mess. Everybody got hurt. I don't necessarily agree with it. I probably would have preferred a trade back there, but let's hope it works out. They got Saquon. Now they got him a weapon. Now you got OBJ and Saquon. Hopefully Eric Flowers turns into an okay lineman. 2018, my first year on YouTube. First game. I didn't do play-by-play that year at the beginning. I did it like midway through the season. First game, I knew the season was over. Not only the first game, first drive, I knew the season was over. Go back and watch the first drive against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Eric Flowers lets up like 3 sacks. I was like, the season's over. The season's done. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have Saquon Barkley and if you have Odell Beckham. If you have a left tackle that protects like that, you're dead. Especially when you have an immobile quarterback like Eli Manning. But I was going into the year being like, okay, they get Barkley. Let's hope it works out. Was it the right pick? No. They should have traded back or, whatever. But it is what it is. I'm still glad he's here. I love him. Grim says, same old message. Yes, the line is important, but realistically, nothing matters. If you don't have a franchise quarterback and you get him, if he's there, you can build on concurrently. I agree with that, Grim. If there's a no-doubt quarterback and you're in the position to take him, you do it. Now, what you have to hope, Grim, is if the Giants go that route, which we'll see if they do at the end of the year, they don't fail the quarterback. Because a lot of these quarterbacks that fail are not, they go top 5 for a reason, most of them. They're talented. But the team does not build properly a lot of the times, right? So you kind of hope that the Giants are able to build the team properly for him to grow as a quarterback. But I agree with you. If there's a guy at the most important position that you think is a slam dunk pick, you take him. Frank says, if they move down, like Donovan Jackson, if not, go edge and get Cooper or Marius Mims in the second. I'm cool with that. I would love another edge. Azeez Ojulari is not it long-term. Just the guy says, Barkley doesn't fit the current timeline. No, he doesn't. Not long-term. Maybe for another year, but not long-term. I agree. Can the Giants win on Sunday? Yes. Why can't they? Of course they can win. Why can't they? Look at the Giants' losses this year. They lost to, and they got killed, but they lost to the Cowboys. They lost to the 49ers. They lost to, who else did we? Miami, Buffalo. I mean, you're talking about like the top 7-8 teams in the league. We can compete with the Jets. I'm not saying we should be expected to win, but we have a chance to win. Why can't we beat them? I mean, Dan, I think most people are going to pick the Jets, but it's not a game, Dan, that I'm going into saying we can't win. If Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback, yeah, I'd probably feel that way. But it's not a game I'm going into being like, there's no chance we can win this game. No. Miami, I felt that way. Buffalo, I felt that way. I don't feel that way against the Jets. Yeah, I agree. We're going to win because of the defense. We're not going to win because of the offense if we win. Just same reason the way the Jets have been winning. They've been winning off the defense, not the offense. No, they're not going to trade Young, but Young's a free agent at the end of the year, at least as of now. Chase Young. I think fans feel less optimistic because they beat the team of our nightmares, the Pigeons. The Jets are, I'm not going to lie to you, Max. The Jets are a better team than we are. The Jets are, even if Daniel Jones was playing pretty well this year, the Jets are a better team than we are. They have a very good team. But to me, Zach Wilson is the type of quarterback that I think Wink Martindale could expose. The Jets don't have a great offensive line. They've got really good weapons. If we play turnover-free football, I think we stand a very good chance to beat the Jets. Easier said than done. The Jets have a very good defense. What am I sipping on? I'm sipping on coffee. Let's see. I agree. It is a good measuring stick for the Jets. Jets coming off a bye. Jets didn't play this week, right, Dan? I think they're coming off a bye. So even more of a reason if you're a Jets fan to go into this game optimistic. But hey, you never know, man. You can't. It's not always equal coming off the bye. Sometimes teams come out sluggish coming off the bye. So we'll see. Jets have had our numbers of late, also. So if I was a Jets fan, I'd be confident going in, as they should be. But I definitely think we have a chance to win this game. I would put it at 40%, 35 to 40%. I think we have a pretty decent chance to win the game. I'd favor the Jets, but I'd give us a decent chance to win the game. I hate the thought that people are upset that the Giants won. What happened to support? I don't think most fans are like that. There are times where they in the past when I've been on YouTube, they've been like that. But I haven't seen many fans that were upset that we won the game. I think it's early in the season. Most fans are not rooting for the tank yet. There's definitely some. But, hey, listen, at the end of the day, I'm not going to tell people how to root for the team. I think you have to realize as a fan of the team that the fans that want to tank, even though I may disagree with it, the reason they want the tank is because they want the team to be better. It's not because it's not because they want the team to lose. So because they hate the team, it's because they want the team to lose so that they, in their mind, the team is going to be in a better position to be a better football team in the future. That's it. That's the way I look at it. I don't root for my team that way. I can't. I can't root for my team to lose. But I'm not going to tell people how to root for their team. So Archive says, hey, Chris, you're saving me at work right now. I just think DJ's pocket present mixed with a bad O-line is ultimately why we should move on. Just doesn't elevate the team. I mean, listen, I agree at the end of the day. If you, regardless, listen, it's not even about that for me. It's about if you, again, it's all circumstantial. I don't know where we're going to be picking. But if you have the opportunity to reset the rookie clock at the quarterback position and I'm not even thinking about it from our perspective. When I think about these things, I think about it from Joe Schoen's perspective because that's the way it's going to operate. It's not going to be based off what the fans want. It's going to be based off the way that Joe Schoen wants to operate. And last year, that's the way that I thought when I said, I know we're bringing back Daniel Jones because I thought about it from Joe Schoen's mindset. From Joe Schoen's mindset last year, that was really the only realistic alternative. If you bring back Daniel Jones based off last year, the team's coming off a playoff win. Jones played well. You want to say what you want to say. He didn't have a lot of big plays. He played well. He gave the team the best opportunity to win most weeks based off the circumstances. You're picking 25th. You're not in a position to draft a quarterback. And if you bring back Daniel Jones, you always have it in your back pocket. You always have it in your back pocket. You always say to John Mara, listen, we made the playoffs. We gave Daniel Jones the chance. We tried to improve the team. And if Daniel Jones fails, you could always go to John and say, listen, I love Daniel. He works hard. He's a great Giant. But hey, listen, I never got a chance to draft my guy. So last year, it made all the sense in the world for Joe Schoen to bring back Daniel Jones. This year, if the team continues to plummet, which maybe it won't, maybe we're starting to go down the right direction. Maybe we're starting to ascend. Maybe we're going to win 8 or 9 games. Maybe we're going to make the playoffs. Maybe Daniel Jones will start to play really well. But if this team finishes with a top 5 pick, and you're Joe Schoen, if you don't draft a quarterback, and that quarterback turns out to be an elite quarterback, and you bring back Daniel Jones without drafting a quarterback, suddenly your job is on the line. You sink or swim with Daniel Jones and this team. If you draft a quarterback, it buys them more time. That's the way that I think. Whether, I try to separate emotion and I try to think logically if I was in the mindset of the general manager. And if I was Joe Schoen and I was put in the position that we're at least trending towards, when you look on Tankathon right now, and it's a rich quarterback draft class, what gives me more job security? What gives me more of an opportunity to build this team? It's drafting the quarterback. It's resetting everything. So if we're picking that high, that's what I think will happen. If we're not, then I think he'll continue to build. And he's always got that in his back pocket. Hey, listen, John, we picked 12th or 13th. We didn't love any of the quarterbacks. We got Jones, another nice wide receiver the next year. Now we failed. I've improved this team more. Now, John, I got to get my quarterback. So I think it's all dependent on where we're picking. Let's see. And J-Man says all the teams that were 1-5-1. So, one team, I think Arizona lost. But other than that, yeah, they all won. What do you mean historically the Giants never go quarterback? We took Daniel Jones with the 4th pick. We traded. Obviously, he was the first pick. We took Daniel Jones with Eli Manning, with the 4th pick. Daniel Jones with the 6th pick. We took Dave Brown in what amounted to be a first-round pick. We take quarterbacks. Let's see. Chris, I don't know much about the NBA, but I have my draft tonight. What player should I draft? Oh, dude, I have done no research in terms of fantasy basketball. I used to be huge into broad basketball. Now I'm basically Knicks. I don't know enough about the league to give you advice on that. You should. I'm going to. I'm riding and dying with Daniel Jones. He's my quarterback for now. But at the end of the year, we'll talk about it. It'll be a discussion. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about where my head's at. But I think you already know where my head's at. If we're in the position, I think you already know where my head's at. Let's see. Mark says, Chris, can you maybe give us a rundown of the schedule until the bye? Yeah, let's take a look. I'm going out tonight at about 8, so I got to leave at about. We'll go for another hour. Go for another hour, guys. I enjoy hanging out with you guys. Let's take a look at the Giants' schedule. Maybe another 45 minutes. Because I got to shower real quick, too. Let's see. Giants' schedule. Giants got the Jets, Vegas, Dallas, Washington, New England, Green Bay. Let me ask the chat this. Is that crazy when you look at that? And I know New England played well this past week. They beat Buffalo. We just beat Washington. We should have beat them by more than we did, if we're being honest. And I know it's on the road. Is that crazy when you look at it? Green Bay off the bye, more time to prepare. Is 4-2 crazy? Am I nuts to think we could go 4-2 over this next 6-game stretch? Am I nuts? Because if you go 4-2, suddenly you are, 5-7? At least you got a chance. The NFC is weak as hell. Right now, I think there's a 3-3 team that says in is the wild card. Is that crazy to think we could go 4-2? If we go 5-1, you're 500, but I'm not going to say that. But is it crazy to think we could go 4-2? Jets, Raiders, Dallas, Washington, New England, Green Bay. If you get to 5-7, maybe you could pick off New Orleans. Maybe the Eagles got nothing to play for the last week of the year. I don't know. At least to be somewhat interesting. Could you win 4 to the next 6? I don't know. Dan M says we need talent more than wins this season. Fair. We definitely need more talent. There's no denying that. Charles Barkley says, I'm thinking an 8-game winning streak. And so Archive says, I agree. We had to bring him back. It's just frustrating the situation we got put in. He's the 6th overall pick. Bad situation. I get it, but it's year 5. No, I get the frustration from the fans. And I get fans look at the money that he got, and I get it. But my mindset was I still think it was the right decision. Still think it was the right decision. I'm not going to change my opinion on that because it was really the only option. The only debate for me is tag or multi-year extension. There was really no other, in my opinion, realistic option. We're not playing Madden. This is real-life NFL. This is a team that made the second round of the playoffs. Daniel Jones had an historical first-round playoff game. He took the team that nobody expected to go to the playoffs. He's familiar within your scheme. You bring in a guy like, I don't know, Baker Mayfield, he's got to learn a whole new offense, like somebody suggested earlier, right? It's easy to play hindsight quarterback, hindsight GM. This offseason, being where we were picking, it was really the only realistic option. So I'm not going to fault Joe Schoen for it. Where Joe Schoen is now going to be tested, and we got to see how the circumstances play out, is does he make the move? Does he pivot? Does he pivot? Does he make the move when it's necessary? That's for me. Everybody's got their own opinion, but that for me is my opinion on the situation. And Tyler, man, thank you very much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. And Tyler says, hey, Chris, is the best situation drafting? It depends. Where are we picking? Where are we picking? Where are we picking? I don't know. Are we picking 13th or are we picking 3rd? I don't know. I will answer that question in the offseason. And authentic. If they feel there's a quarterback worth trading up for, you do it. I agree. Andrew says, is it true Caleb Williams says he wants equity from whatever team drafts him? Hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL already. I don't know. I heard that somebody mentioned that earlier. Obviously, you guys know I'm not as active on Twitter as I was. I think it was mentioned on Twitter. I don't know. I didn't see it. I doubt that's true. That sounds ridiculous. I don't think that's the case. Guys have played in the NFL yet. You want to talk about something that could divide a locker room day one? That's not going to happen. Always love the content from over here in the UK. What's going on, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. The only way I see a quarterback ever being taken is if the whole team is complete and the quarterback is the weakest link. Think of it like the Chiefs of 2017. Oh, I disagree. There's several instances where a team is far from complete. It all depends on what you're picking. If you're picking in the top 5, quarterbacks go with the first pick every year. Those teams are not complete. They're picking first for a reason. Hey, quarterbacks go 2nd, 3rd, 4th overall. So, no, I think it depends on where you're picking in the draft and how strongly you feel. If you are head over heels in love with a quarterback, you go all in. You take the quarterback. If the circumstances are proper, like this year, it's not realistic. You're not moving up from 25 to 1 to get C.J. Stroud, who I thought was the best quarterback in this draft, who so far looks like the best quarterback. But you're not doing that. If you are picking 8, 9, 10, and you love a quarterback and you can move up to 3 to get him, you do it. But you got to be head over heels in love with the guy. Let's see. They may end up wrong, but I don't think Mara for no. I agree with you. I personally don't think it was Mara. And in the past, I have thought Mara was at fault for some things. I don't think this was Mara. Nothing will fix the Giants' discourse faster than some wins with DJ leading the team. It'd be nice. Listen, all you can do right now is Tyrod Taylor's the quarterback. I at the end of the day, I want my team to win. Taylor's played really well. He's played as good as I could have hoped for. He's a backup. He's playing like a decent starter. since he's been inserted into the Giants starting lineup. So I'm happy. I'm happy with the job he's doing. I hope the Giants continue to win football games. He's given us a chance. He's played 2 games. He's given us a chance to win both. He made a huge mistake in the first game, but he still played well. And this past week, he played great, especially considering the circumstance. He played great. I'm not going to say he played elite. We scored 14 points. Probably should have at least 17, though. Barkley fumbled. Could have been 21. He played really well. So hopefully he can continue to do it. As long as he's in the starting lineup, he's my guy. He's my quarterback. Dane Beck says the Chiefs is a perfect example. Honestly, we are in the perfect spot to get a quarterback. Let's fix the O-line, get another wide receiver, replace Ojolari with an elite pass rusher, then trade up for the quarterback. I mean, Dane, ideally, I agree with you. But I'm not going to fault them if they love a quarterback to trade up and get the guy. Ideally, I would prefer to not have to trade up to get the quarterback and take the quarterback if they love one or continue to build. But if you're picking 10, 11, 12, you love Drake May, you love whoever, you get your guy. So I'm not going to fault them if they do that. Let's see. I mean, right now, Daniel Jones he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league based off the way he's played so far this year. How could you say otherwise? What's up, Dizzy Dre, man? Thanks for popping in. If we go on a run like the Lions last year, that would be cool, but I don't know, man. I think it's possible because of our schedule. Our schedule lessens up in the second half, and the defense looks like it's starting to hit its stride. I think it's possible. I could very much see a very similar situation to that of the Lions last year. What did the Lions end up winning last year? 9? I could see us winning 8. I could see it. I'm not saying I'm predicting it, but I could see it. I could see us finishing strong and having something to build off of going into next year. I could certainly see that as a possibility because the defense, I mean, obviously the main discussion is the quarterback because he's the quarterback and Taylor played well. And the team is throwing the ball down the field more. But let's be honest, the main reason why we won was the defense. We gave up 7 points. And the main reason why we were competitive against the Bills the week before was the defense. We gave up 14 points against one of the best offenses in football. If the Giants defense continues to play at this level, we're going to have opportunities to win football games. If we play mistake-free football, like we've done since Taylor's been inserted into the lineup, if Jones gets thrown into back into the starter and he could play mistake-free football, we can win football games if this defense continues to play the way they've been playing. They've been playing great. Even in the Dolphins game against one of the best offenses in football, we had a pick 6 and we had a fumble on the 7-yard line. That was 14 points right there out of the 31 or whatever we gave up. So if the defense continues to play this way, we're going to be able to compete with a lot of teams. Not the upper echelon teams. We're not competing with the Eagles. But the Rams we could compete with. The Packers we could compete with. The Patriots, the Jets, the Raiders, we can compete with those teams. Let's see. Michael R. says, if Taylor played the first 3 games, he'd be dead. I don't think our record would be any different if Taylor was the quarterback because we weren't beating the Cowboys with Tyrod Taylor. We weren't beating the 49ers. We weren't beating the Dolphins. I don't think our record would be any different. I think it'd be the same record that we currently have. Just a guy says, we need to pick high. We need to start over. All we ever do is win meaningless games and put Band-Aids on major problems. Sell, buy, Saquon, sell. I mean, to your point about we need to pick high. I get it. Okay. Because it's about building through the draft, getting young, replacing. There's no guarantee with that. 2018, where do we pick? 2nd. 2019, where do we pick? 6th. 2020, where do we pick? 4th. 2022, where do we pick? 5th and 7th. Since 2018, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've had 5 picks inside the top 10. We've had 3 picks inside the top 5. We suck. Picking high in the draft does not guarantee you anything. What makes teams consistent and relevant is having elite coaching and being able to find talent throughout the course of the draft. Day 1, day 2, day 3. And building a culture, which is what we're hoping the Giants are starting to build. Pittsburgh Steelers never pick in the top 10. Very rare. They're always competitive. They got a great coach. There's no guarantees. And just the guy says, who was the GM for all those seasons? Gettleman and Joe Shane Reservlete. But, I mean, the Steelers never pick early. I could point to several teams that very rarely pick early. Aside from week 1, DJ had his worst weeks without Saquon since he had no running game. I mean, that's obvious. I love when people knock Daniel Jones when they show the stats with Saquon, without Saquon. No shit. Saquon's been his only real weapon. I know he's got Waller now. It was great. But throughout the course of his career, he's been his only real weapon that the guy's had. So, of course, Saquon has a huge effect on the team's win and loss record and the way that Daniel Jones plays. So, yeah, of course Jones is going to look better when Saquon's in the lineup. It changes the whole offense. It's why I don't get when people knock Saquon, when they try to lower his significance to this team, his importance to this team. I don't care that the guy plays running back. The guy is very important. Teams have to game plan for him. He changes the offense. Let's go. The Giants need a good steady line and his weapons, and he will be Well, Banks and Hyatt are definitely going to be studs at least. We picked right on those two. We'll see. I mean, I was a big fan of Banks. I was thrilled when we got him. And I loved Hyatt where we got him. I didn't love Hyatt where he was projected to go, but I loved him where we got him. And he's a weapon. But I don't want to get too high on rookies. I like them. And I think they're going to be really good, but we'll see where it goes. How about that game-winning drive that DJ had last year on a sprained ankle against? What's going on, MYG Forever, man? Thanks for popping in, man. Do you think that Jones is more to blame for his inability to throw the ball downfield or to Waller or the offensive line? I mean, it's hard not to say that Jones is a part of it. We've seen Taylor now with a similar offensive line. Like, you want to argue that these guys are playing better? Okay. He's still getting pressured. Taylor was sacked, 5 times this game? So he's still getting pressured. Taylor's taking more shots down the field. Anybody that's being fair and isn't just blindly trying to defend Daniel Jones above everything has to at least acknowledge that, Tyrod Taylor, since he's been inserted into the lineup, is more willing to throw the ball down the field. So I think it's a combination of things. I don't think it's strictly Daniel Jones. Of course, the offensive line's a big part of it. If you can't hold up blocks consistently, you're not going to be able to take as many shots down the field. But, I think Daniel Jones is certainly a part of it. Let's see. John says we are not trading Barkley. I won't allow it. End of story. Banks is a stud. I'm in love with Deontay Banks. What's up, Paul? He says, Chris, is it me? And I know he had 5.5 sacks, but Tibbs looks like he floats around a lot. Kind of doesn't want to get dirty. I like Tibbs. It seems like people are very hit or miss with Tibbs. Some people love him. Some people don't. I don't know. I like Tibbs. I think Tibbs is a really good player. I don't think he's Parsons, but I think he's a really good player. I'd like to see more of the elite Tibbs that we saw last year at times in the Washington game. I'd like to see a little bit more consistency. But I think Tibbs is starting to compile good work here these last 3 or 4 weeks. I think Tibbs has played well. I like Tibbs. And this past game, Tibbs, and Mark just said it, Tibbs, he played 68 out of the 69 snaps. He should have caught the ball. But I think Tibbs is fine. He may never be elite, but he's a good football player. Do you think Jones could be feeling the pressure of the big contract? I mean, sure, but that comes with it. You're playing in New York. That comes with it. You know that. Listen, I don't feel bad for Daniel Jones when it comes to that, in terms of the pressure that comes along with the contract. Listen, let's be real, Daniel. At the end of the day, and I supported what you did, it's in your right. I will never look at another man's wallet. I will never knock an athlete for trying to get as much money as he possibly can. At the end of the day, it's a high demanding position. You play in New York. I get it. But I don't feel bad because you have added pressure. Daniel, let's be real. You came to the table asking for $45 million a year. You knew what you were taking on. This is New York. This is the same fan base that wanted Eli Manning off the roster 3 years after he won his first Super Bowl. You knew what you were taking on. So I don't feel bad for him when it comes to that. Added pressure. You got to produce. You're playing in New York. You're making $40 million a year. You got to produce. Excuses be damned. When you sign that contract, excuses go out the window. You're the guy now. You are being paid to elevate this football team. And whether it's fair or whether it's not, you're going to get the brunt of it. You're going to be the guy that gets attacked the most. You're the most important position. You're the face of the franchise, and you're making $40 million a year. That's what comes with it. He took the money. I don't feel bad for him from that standpoint. Let's see. I mean, I agree with that, Authentic. I think a decisive quarterback, a great quarterback. Listen, the Giants would have a very bad offensive line regardless of who the quarterback was. But yes, the offensive line looks better. It's still bad, but it looks better. Yeah, a great and Tyrod Taylor's not a great quarterback, but he's playing well. But a great quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, for example, a guy I work with who sits in the cubicle next to me, huge Jets fan. He was telling me before the year started, I'm really worried about the Jets offensive line because reports are coming out that they were struggling in training camp. I said, listen, the Jets offensive line is going to be fine. They may not be great, but they're going to be fine because Aaron Rodgers is one of the best pre-snap quarterbacks in the NFL. When you have a guy that could diagnose coverages before the snap, that helps the offensive line tremendously. So yes, a quarterback is a factor. You can't hide an incredibly horrible offensive line strictly based off the quarterback play, but a quarterback will make it look better. I mean, we saw the best quarterback in football, Pat Mahomes, get destroyed in the Super Bowl. That's why the Chiefs went out there and they spent all those resources in the offensive line and they fixed it up real quick. Something that we haven't been able to do since I was born, it feels like. But yes, good quarterback play assists a bad offensive line. It makes a awful offensive line look bad. Let's see. What quarterback do you think is best built for our system with man, I don't want to give you an answer on that before I fully look at all these guys, man. I don't want to fully I mean I like Drake May from what I've seen. I haven't seen enough of him. I've watched a ton of Caleb Williams. I've watched a ton of McCarthy. I like those two. I haven't watched enough on Drake May to formulate a full opinion on him. I've watched like 2 North Carolina games, but I like him. He's got talent. I hope Daniel Jones shuts it down for the rest of the year and everybody can enjoy the great Taylor and his great play at quarterback. I truly hope Jones decides to let Taylor show us the real. Oh, you're gonna get. I think Taylor plays for at least 2 more weeks. I think he plays for at least 2 more weeks, if I had to guess. Scott says, I think the guys on the line are stepping up after seeing a guy like Pugh come in. I mean, the line's still not playing great. It's still not playing great. Alex says, what's your opinion on Wandell? I feel like he should get more looks. I mean, up until this past week, he was getting more looks. They didn't utilize him too much in the game plan this week. I guess, each week's different. He may not have fit the game plan this week. They may have felt like they stood a better chance trying to focus heavily on Waller, focus heavily on Hyatt. I like Wandell, though. I think he's a good fit. I think he's a guy he's a nice little piece, a guy that could be a great third down wide receiver for you, a guy that you could do some multiple things with him. He's kind of a gadget player. They've had a couple of carries with him. I like him. He's a nice piece to the offense. No, I don't see him in a Debo role. He'd get killed in a Debo role. Killed in a Debo role. He's too small. The occasional jet sweep, sure. But no, you watch Debo play. Debo runs up the middle like he's Brandon Jacobs. So no, he'd get killed. What's up, Lloyd? He says Wandell is replacing Shep. Yes, that's fairly obvious. That's what I think his role is going to be, predominantly in the slot. Tana, if we land on Harrison Jr., would you take or still go quarterback, generational wide receiver? It depends. It depends on who's available. I'm not going to be upset at all if we take Marvin Harrison Jr. I say it all the time for the people that want to replace Daniel Jones, and I get it. Last year, we didn't have the debate because we knew it wasn't going to happen. The year before, the debate was there. Rightfully so. He wasn't playing well, and we had a top 5, a top 7 pick. It just so happened in that draft that it wasn't a good quarterback draft class, and evidence shows that it wasn't. Kenny Pickett's not playing well. Malik Willis is not playing. None of these guys have turned out to be quarterbacks worthy of taking with a top 7 pick. So the Giants made the right decision. They're not going quarterback. But listen, the way I always look at it for people that are steadfast on taking a quarterback no matter what, don't look at it as like you're getting a wide receiver for Jones if you don't think Jones is the long-term quarterback for the New York Giants. Think of it as you're getting a supreme weapon for whoever's going to end up being the franchise quarterback for the New York Giants. So would I be upset if the Giants drafted Marvin Harrison Jr.? Absolutely not. Marvin Harrison Jr. has the potential to be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. Not just the potential. I think he's going to be. I think he's that good. I think Marvin Harrison Jr., I would be stunned if he's not a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. I think he's as close to a sure thing as you get at the position. I think he's going to be great. So no, I wouldn't be upset if we took Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's fantastic. Let's see. Archman hasn't even played yet. He's sitting behind the guy with the mullet in Texas. He hasn't even played yet. We'll even see. I don't even know if Arch is going to go back to Texas next year. We'll see, because quarterbacks transfer so much in college nowadays. And Zach says, go blue. Oh, carrot cake really balling for us. Hopefully offense can get it together with AT and JMS. Yeah, listen, we need to get JMS back too. We haven't talked about him at all during the stream. We need to get him back too. His development is so important to the long-term future of this football team, right? So that's a piece that we kind of forget about, because the discussion is all focused around the quarterback and the improving defense. We need to get John Michael Schmitz back, man. His development is so vital. That is such an important piece to this offensive line long-term. So, yeah, we got to get him back out there for sure. Hopefully he's back there soon, man. He's starting next week. I hope so, man. What's up, Texas Liberty, man? Thanks for popping in. We definitely need another edge rusher. Edge, I'll tell you, I wouldn't be upset if we took an edge in the first round. I mean, I don't know enough about the edge prospects in this year's draft right now, but we need another edge. Aziz ain't it long term. I mean, JC, I think ideally that was his plan. Exactly what you said is exactly why I knew and thought Joe Schoen was going to sign Daniel Jones. And I think it was his plan, but plans change. But what you said is what Joe Schoen was thinking this offseason. Not necessarily that Daniel Jones would definitively be a bridge quarterback, but that was a very realistic option, that he would at least be a serviceable quarterback for the next 2 years as he built up the team around him. But plans change. Obviously, and we don't know how this year is going to play out. We don't know how many games the Giants are going to win. We don't know where we're going to be picking. But yeah, I think Shane in the offseason said, okay, Daniel Jones is played well last year. He played good enough for him to be the guy for the next 2 years as I keep building up this team. I'm willing to give him that contract. Let's build up this offensive line. Let's give Neal another year of growth. I feel more comfortable if I could bring in a rookie quarterback where I have 2 bookend tackles. Let's get the center of the future. Let's give him a year or 2 of growth. And if Jones doesn't elevate himself to be that elite quarterback in 2025, let's get the guy. But plans change. If the team bombs and you're picking top 3, top 4, top 5, your hands are tied. But do I think that was Joe Schoen's plan? Yes, of course it was his plan. If it wasn't his plan, he would have just tagged Jones. But plans change. Let's see. Cho, do you think could you really call Kayvon you consider Kayvon a horrible pick right now? Neal's a bad pick. I don't think I'd have to look at the draft, and I'm sure you could pick out a couple of guys that we should have taken there. Garrett Wilson, for example, would have been a really good pick. But I don't think Kayvon looks like a bad pick right now. I think Kayvon looks like a pretty good pick. Evan Neal Mr. Shane. And Mr. Shane, I would have made the same mistake you did. So, but I'm not the GM. You are. So, Mr. Shane, what were you doing? Mr. Shane, what the hell were you doing? I would have made the same mistake you did. And we all make mistakes in our opinions and everything else. What are you doing? So, I agree with you on Evan Neal, at least the way it looks right now. But I disagree with you on Kayvon. I think Kayvon's trending towards being the right guy. Let's see. Let's see. Tana, do you disagree with not trading players at the deadline? It always depends on the deal for me, Jacob. I'm going to talk to you from Joe Schoen's perspective. I don't trade players to trade. The same mindset I have with taking a quarterback, it's my mindset with trades. I don't draft a quarterback or force a quarterback just to force a quarterback. I do it when I feel like it's a no doubter. It's the same thing with a trade. If I'm Joe Schoen, I'm always open to making trades, but you better come with it. I'll trade Saquon, but you better come with it. If I'm in a situation where it makes sense to sell, I will sell, but I'm not selling you for 60%. I'm getting 90% on Saquon. You're going to have to pay for him. So I'm open to the Giants making trades, but the trades have to make sense. I'm not just trading players away to get 4th-round picks. I'm not trading Saquon away for a 4th-round pick. I'm not doing it. Let's see. James says there's been a ton of foolish takes tonight. Chris, I'm just happy we won. Hopefully this could be a turnaround. 1 week. That's all you can do, man. 1 week at a time. 1 week at a time. Kudabank says, Tana, can you imagine Harrison Jr. and Hyatt? Oh, dude. It'd be great. Mark says Shane has a value for everybody. If a move creates value for the team, he'll do it. If not, yeah. Same exact mindset I have with a quarterback. It's if there's a quarterback there that is a no doubter, take him. If there's a trade that's there's a no doubter, do it. But I'm not in favor of just selling to sell. Now, there's certain circumstances. Like when Gettleman sold Snacks Harrison, I was completely for it. Snacks Harrison, you got what he was worth. He was still a good player, but his contract was obscene. You know, he was making a lot of money for a defensive tackle. We were a team that was in clear knockdown mode. He still had like another 2 years, I think, on the contract, maybe another year, but it freed up more cap for the following year. You got a 5th-round pick. It's all dependent on circumstance. Like Leonard Williams, I would take a 5th-round pick for. You know, it's all dependent on circumstance. Kayvon is at best a linebacker. Aziz, the sleaze could be cut, period. Aziz, the sleaze, not bad. Not bad. What's up, Cole, man? Thanks for popping in. Ethan says Shane missed one pick. So what he got us: Kayvon Banks, Hyatt, Wandell, JMS, Hawkins. Neal has been dealing with injuries and piss poor line. For me, it's way too early to judge Joe Shane. And listen, all the people that are already judging him, they'll be the same people that jump down my throat and your throat and everybody else's throat in 2 years. I took the same approach with Gettleman. I said, I'm giving this guy time. I'm not going to just say we should fire this guy after 2 years. It's the same thing with Shane. You have to allow these players time to develop. You can't judge Kayvon Thibodeau off of a year and 4 games. You can't judge Deontay Banks off of whatever it's been, 6 games. You got to give these guys 3-4 years. You have to give Shane some time for his plan to develop. So I said it the day we hired him. I'm giving the guy 4 years, and we'll see where it goes. We'll reassess then. Chris, just for kicks, would you take Kyle off the Cardinals? No, I would not. No. If I'm moving off Jones, I'm starting over. Why would I pay a premium for Kyler Murray? Why would I trade for a guy that is making an obscene amount of money, who now has an injury history, who has a reputation for not being the best in terms of studying the playbook, who's never won a playoff game? If I'm moving off Jones, I'm not trading for a quarterback. I'm drafting one. Period. That's it. If we are picking top 5, I think Joe Shane trades up for Caleb. No. Caleb Williams going first overall. And whoever has the first overall pick's not trading out of the pick. When you have a quarterback that good, or is perceived to be that good, Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence, he's on that level in terms of a prospect going into the draft. Those teams don't trade out of that pick. You're not getting him. You're not moving up to first. You're not getting him. The only way it would happen is Caleb Williams would have to do what Eli Manning did. And that's not going to happen. But that's the only way it would happen. He'd have to force a trade. Let's see. Pull up the 2022 draft. It's actually been decent if you look at it now. The Giants 2022 draft. Let's take a look. I think most people loved. 2022. I was thinking this year. Giants 2022. Does it look decent? Let's take a look. I don't think it looks decent. I mean, at least right now, it's still way too early. But Kayvon at 5th overall, we'll call it okay right now. I like him as a player, but for where he was drafted, we'll call it okay. It's clearly not a great pick right now. Okay pick. Evan Neal, horrible pick. Awful, disgusting pick right now. Wandell Robinson at 43. Leaning more towards not great. Could end up being a solid pick. Leaning more towards not great. Joshua Zudu. What are we talking about? Hopefully he develops, though. He's still young, and he was a developmental pick. Cordell Flott. I like him. I think that could end up being a good pick, but still way too early. But I like him. Bellinger's a good pick. 5th-round pick. He's a contributor. Good pick. Dane Belton. Michael McFadden's looks like a good pick. He's played very well. And the rest are whatever. McKeithen, who knows? Davidson, who knows? Right now, Michael McFadden looks like a really good pick. Right now, Bellinger looks like a really good pick. Right now, Thibodeau looks like an okay pick. The rest are up in the air, and Evan Neal's trending towards being an awful pick. So, we'll see. I think you got to wait a few more years before you fully judge the draft. Let's see. I mean, I agree that Tibbs looks like the best player, probably from the. Not probably does look like the best player of all those players. I'm judging it based off of where he was drafted, though. 5th overall. I don't think it was a great pick right now. It could become a great pick, and it's certainly possible it will. But I wouldn't label it a great pick yet. I would label it okay pick, solid pick. A 5th overall pick you expect to be a franchise-altering player. And I think he's shown glimpses of potentially being that. But I haven't seen enough evidence of that yet to where I say that was a great pick. Andrew Thomas, we saw enough evidence. That was a great pick. Dexter Lawrence, we saw enough evidence, even though that was later, 17th overall. Great pick. I need to see more consistent evidence before I say that's a great pick. Certainly not a bad pick. So far, it's an okay pick. And I agree, he's going to potentially become a very good pick. What's up, Dr. Garrett, man? Thanks for popping in. No, I agree, Authentic. I agree. But I waited to call it a great pick till I saw it. But I agree. I'm not saying it can't be a great pick. It certainly can be. Certainly can be. I'm not, by no means am I out on Kayvon Thibodeau. I like the pick. Let's see. Paul says, do you think the Giants are aggressive at the trade deadline? Well, if they're going to be aggressive, they'll be aggressive as sellers, not buyers. But again, I don't think they're gonna make a trade just to make a trade. You got me to laugh with the Neil pick, man. Dude, I'm all aboard the Kayvon pick. I bought his jersey as soon as I did. I think he's going. I don't think he's going to be Parsons level, but I think he's going to be Josh Allen level. That's a really high level. Josh Allen's great on Jacksonville. The guy that I wanted over Daniel Jones, as you've seen my draft reaction by now. He's developed into a very good player. I think he'll be that. And maybe more, but I think he'll be that, which is great. Josh Allen's a very good player for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's great if he becomes that. So that's kind of where I see him right now. Maybe he'll be more, but that if he becomes even that, he's a very good player. Let's see. Would you consider Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley great picks? No. 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 McCann says, I'm disappointed in Giants fans this year. Delusional. What do you mean? Delusional in what way? Fans are always going to be delusional. So I will never be disappointed in a fan for being delusional one way or the other. They're fans for a reason. They're emotional, right? So, but what do you mean? Delusional in what way? Were they delusional in the sense that they were too positive, or are they delusional in the sense that they are too, I guess, talking about tanking or whatever? What do you mean by that? Oh, just writing off players too quickly? Listen, man, I've been on YouTube since for 6 years. That comes with the territory. I mean, it is what it is. And fans, they're fans. They're not GMs. They're gonna be reactionary. They're gonna have opinions. But listen, they wrote off Andrew Thomas. They did. Let's be honest. Not all fans, but a lot of fans did. They wrote off Andrew Thomas. They wrote off. A lot of people didn't think Dexter Lawrence would become what he became. So it takes certain players more time to develop than others. So everybody has a different process. People wrote off Eli Manning. He ended up winning 2 Super Bowls. Kuda says, Tana, you see Jonathan Allen's comments about the Commanders just speaking into the universe, but possible we get a trade for him. Allen plus Dex, scary. I did not see that. I did not see those comments. What did he say? Let me take a look. Let me take a look. What did John? I'm gonna hang up in about 10 minutes, guys, because I'm going out to a bar to watch the Monday night game. But let me take a quick look. What did he say? Jonathan Allen fumes after Sunday's loss to the Giants. They whooped our ass. He said he just cursed a lot. He says, I mean, they did whoop his ass. The game wasn't as close as the score indicated. The Giants dominated start to finish of that game. And Jason says, I know the score won't say it, but I just said, yeah, we dominated the Commanders. I know we've been burned, but we can possibly win the next 4 games. Season is not over. I'm going to say we could possibly win 3 out of the next 4. I need to see a lot more. I mean, I got to be fair. I could see us beating the Jets. I could see us beating the Raiders, and I could see us beating who's the other team that I'm forgetting? Who's the 4th game? Is it Washington again? I don't remember. No, we play. Let me see the Giants. Who's the 4th? Well, I can't see us beating Dallas. I will not predict that. I mean, any week it can happen, but Dallas manhandled us. They beat us 40-0. So I'd be stunned if we beat Dallas. The other 3 games we can win. I will agree. We could win the other 3 games. Washington is week 11, yeah. Okay, Washington's after Dallas. So Raiders, Washington, and the Jets. We can win those games. Don't come back here and say, Chris, you said we're going to win those games. No, I said we could win those games. Those are games we stand a decent chance to win. The Cowboys game is tough. That's tough. Jacob says, Tana, if you could have picked anyone in 18 draft, who would you pick? Alan Darnold. Well, are you talking about on draft night, or are you talking about now? Now it's Josh Allen. That's obvious. I mean, I guess Lamar, you could say, but I would take Josh Allen. But I wasn't on YouTube, so I can't take credit for it, and I won't. But I wish I could pull up text with my friends. I love Josh Allen before he was in the NFL. I loved him even more after I saw him in the NFL. I didn't want the Giants to draft him, though. I'd be lying if I said that. I did not. I thought he was too much of a gamble for the 2nd overall pick. But I liked him a lot out of the quarterback prospects in that draft. But yeah, if I go back in time, it would be Josh Allen. Luke, thank you very much, man. What's up, Chris? What are your thoughts on Banks? He's played amazing to start. And is it crazy to call this defense top 10? I don't think it's crazy to at least think that they have the potential to be a top 10 defense. I think over the last 2 games, they've played like a top 10 defense. Obviously not over the whole year, but I think over the last 2 weeks, they've clearly played like a top 10 defense. They held Buffalo in check, and they held Washington to 7 points. So I think they've clearly played like a top 10 defense over the last 2 weeks. Are they a top 10 defense, though? No, they got a lot more. Here's what I'll say, Luke. Show it to me when you play the Dallas Cowboys. Show it to me then. Okay? Then I'll start to believe you're a top 10 defense. But what I will say, this run defense is starting to get a lot better. And that was the Achilles heel of this defense last year. We were awful against the run. We might have been the worst defense. We were. We were the worst run defense in football last year. I think we were 31st in terms of yards per carry against. We were the worst. It couldn't have been worse. It was bad. The last 2 or 3 weeks, this run defense is starting to get a lot better. We kept Brian Robinson. I mean, not against Dolphins. Dolphins ran all over us. But we kept Buffalo in check, and we kept Brian Robinson in check. This run defense is starting to get better, and that's because of Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden. And if they continue to do that, I think you're going to see us continue to get turnovers, because it's going to put the opposing offenses in more predictable situations. It's going to allow our pass rushers to tee off. It's going to create more turnover opportunities. So I think it's possible we could become a top 10 defense? Yeah, I do. But for me to say it, I got to see it against the Cowboys. Show it to me against the Cowboys. Jets are a limited offense. Show it to me against the Cowboys. Let's see. And Word, man, thank you very much, man. He says, just wanted to say, hope all is well in real life with you, Tana. Glad you're streaming. Yeah, man, I'm going to be streaming a little. I'll probably be streaming later in the week as well. Appreciate all you guys for popping in. Normally, I go live after the game, but I went to a movie last night, so I said I'll go live today. Peter says, Eagles trade for all-pro safety. I hate them, but I have to admire the organization. Listen, man, the Eagles, they're doing the right thing. They have identified that they're a team that's in a Super Bowl window. And when you're in a Super Bowl window, be damned with the future. You do what you got to do to win a championship. So they're doing the right thing. That if the Giants were in that situation, I'd want them to do exactly what the Eagles are doing. Be aggressive. Go out there and make splash moves. You're in your Super Bowl window. Jalen Hurts' contract doesn't really kick in against the cap for at least another 3 years with the way that they backloaded it. So be aggressive. They're doing the right thing. And Ethan says, I'm sorry, but why did the defense look better without Adoree? I mean, let's be fair. Let's be fair, Ethan. And Adoree's not played well this year. But let's be fair. We were playing Sam Howell. We were playing Washington. That's different than when you play Buffalo, when you play Miami, when you play San Francisco, when you play Dallas. Let's be fair. But hey, the defense looked really good. And I think the main reason, if you're asking me why he looked better and why the defense as a whole looked better, all you got to do is look up at the point of attack. Look up at the point of attack. The game is won in the trenches. People may not want to admit that still. People love the flash, and I love the flash too. I love seeing Jalen Hyatt go down the field and hitting these big splash plays. Odell Beckham taking slants to the house. Saquon Barkley with juke moves, yada, yada. I love it. The game is still won in the trenches. Why did the defense look so good yesterday? Look at the front seven. Dexter Lawrence might as well have been handing the ball off to the quarterback. He might as well have been playing center. He made Nick Gates his bitch last week or yesterday. Kayvon Thibodeau, constant pressure. Leonard Williams, constant pressure. That's why. Constant pressure on Sam Howell. Constant. And Wink kept dialing up the blitz. So that's why. That's why it looked better. I mean, we were getting pressure on the quarterback constantly. Ethan says, I know, but against the Bills, Banks looked better than Adoree. Banks is good. I'm not ready to say that Banks is elite yet, but Banks is good. I love the pick when we made it. I said it when I did a couple of draft, didn't do a ton of it, but I did a couple of draft videos during the offseason. And when I did the cornerbacks, watched some of their film, had a lot of fun doing that because I knew cornerback was a very high probability we'd be taken in the first round. I thought Banks, of the guys that we realistically could have taken, my favorite was the guy in the Seahawks, Witherspoon. Like that guy, he was awesome in college. But of the guys that were in our realistic range, Banks was my favorite because I thought his athletic upside was higher than anybody else that was in our range. I thought he fit our scheme to a T, long arms, press man corner, fast as hell. I think he's a perfect fit for this defense. I think that's why the Giants traded up to get him. So I'm a big fan of Banks. He's a much better fit than Adoree. Adoree was kind of a leftover from the prior regime where the Giants really had no choice but to keep him around. And he played well for us last year. I'm not saying he didn't, but he doesn't really fit this type of defense. You want tall, physical corners, man press cover corners, right? In a defense like this, Banks fits what we're looking to do. Adoree doesn't. Banks is a much better fit for this defense. Let's see. Jai says, can you think of a superstar in the league that was a late bloomer? Hoping Kayvon and Evan could be that. Oh, I could think of some. I mean, Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas, perfect example. He was an All-Pro last year. He struggled his rookie year. He was good his second year. He wasn't great. And then his third year, he was an All-Pro. So I think that would count as a late bloomer. I'm sure there's several others. You're off the top of my head, it's hard for me to think of it, but I'm sure there's several others. But I'm just thinking Giant specific. But yeah. Oh, Josh Allen's a perfect example. Quarterback on the Bills, perfect example. Perfect example. Quarterbacks are kind of a cheat code though, because I feel like most quarterbacks take on average probably till year 3 to hit their stride. Like quarterback's not a position. I mean, there are some. CJ Stroud's balling out. But most quarterbacks usually don't hit their full stride probably until late into year 2, early year 3. There's certainly some examples of guys who pick it up faster. But quarterback's kind of a cheat code for me. Certain positions you expect to be immediate contributors more so than others. But I'm sure there's plenty of examples of guys that took off year 3. I think Kayvon's going to be a very good player. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar, but I think he's going to be a very good player. Dexter Lawrence is another example, right? Dexter Lawrence didn't become a superstar or at least a borderline superstar until last year. And that was year 4? So it happens. JPP didn't do anything really his rookie year. Second year, he took off. Justin Tuck didn't blow up his first couple of years. Granted, well, he kind of did. No, he didn't. He didn't blow up probably. Justin Tuck didn't fully blow up until 2008. I fell in love with him in 2007 because when he got his opportunities, you saw him start. You saw the potential. And then after Strahan retired, he got more of an opportunity. So Justin Tuck, another example. Kudabank says, did we forget about Eli in his first? Oh, there you go. Like I said, quarterback's kind of a cheat code. It's kind of a cheat code because a lot of quarterbacks, it takes a little while for them to develop. Fabian, all aside, let's be real, how they improve the offense. How they improve the offense? What's your question, Fabian? What's your question? How do they improve the offense? Here you go. Here's how they improve the offense. Improve everything. We don't have enough talent anywhere on the offense. Everything. Improve everything. Improve the line. Improve the quarterback. Improve the weapons. Improve everything. Everything. That's it. Everything. We don't have a number one wide receiver. We probably hopefully have a 2. Hopefully Hyatt becomes a 2. Or Wandell, but we don't have a 1. We don't have a bona fide 1. We don't have any semblance of an offensive line outside of Andrew Thomas and hopefully John Michael Schmitz, and hopefully Neal develops into something, whether it be a guard or a tackle. Improve everything. We got a ways to go with this offense. Ways to go. Let's see. Cooper Kupp's a great example. No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, Cliff, at the end of the day, I agree with you. The main thing is the offensive line, and I will say that forever. Yeah, the main thing for me is the line. That is where stability is built. Until that gets fixed, where it's at least serviceable, we're not going to compete with the best teams. Not consistently. Maybe you'll have an heroic performance if you get one of these otherworldly quarterbacks, but you're not going to consistently beat the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers with a below-average offensive line. Not consistently. You want to compete with those teams week in and week out when you go up against them? You want to feel like you have a chance every time you play those teams? We got to get much better where it matters in the trenches. Peter says, Chris, we need the legacy uniforms. Been screaming this for years. I love the legacy uniforms. The legacy uniforms and the color rush uniforms, my favorite uniforms in the sport of football. Yeah, Zany, the run's been great. And that starts with Bobby Okereke. But guys, I am going to close it out. I got to get going. Let me just answer this real quick. Javani says, if we get the O-line situation solved, we will be a powerhouse team. I don't know how we can work on something for 12 years and not have any results. I mean, listen, I think the biggest thing is the constant turnover at the end of the day, Javani. That for me is the biggest thing. You think about the line that helped us win those Super Bowls in 07 and 07, 08 was when they were super dominant. 09, that 3-year span, they were not great in 04, 05, but they had some pieces of that line those years. They continued to build. They kept that unit together, and they added a Kareem McKenzie. They added pieces, but they kept the core together, and they kept building. They drafted Chris Snee. They kept it together. And then after 3-4 years of playing with one another, that line became elite. You got to keep them together. You got to keep growing. Continuity. Keep the coach. Maybe not the guy we got now, but when you find the replacement, keep the coach. And you need continuity, and they need to build together. That's the biggest thing for me. I don't think there's a quick fix with the line. That's the most depressing part about an offensive line. There's not, in my opinion, there's not a quick fix. Now, the Chiefs fixed it fast, but it helps when you have Pat Mahomes, and it helps when you have Andy Reid. But it's about building it. You have to build it. You have to build it. And I think they need to play together and learn to grow as a unit. That's the thing that's frustrating. You got to give these guys some time to play together, but hopefully it gets better soon. But guys, be good. We'll talk soon. And enjoy the game tonight, Monday Night Football. Be good, guys.